For 25 years, Golf Tech has been bringing innovation to golf instruction. Through the challenges of today, that's never been more true. With the enthusiasm for golf at an all-time high, we're inspired to keep innovating and celebrate this great game. Discover how Golf Tech's approach has helped thousands of golfers improve their
Keep the
game.
face open, you'll be fine.
Golf Tech, helping golfers for 25 years.
Good morning and welcome to the third Southern California Women's Golf Summit. My name is Nikki Gatch and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the Southern California PGA, as well as the Secretary on the Board of Directors for the Southern California Golf Association. On behalf of both associations, we are pleased you could all join us today, September 1st, Global Women's Golf Day. This year's summit is our third annual get-together, demonstrating how a regional golf association and a PGA section can come together to further discussions and advocacy for the women's game. As leaders in the Southern California golf community, we feel a strong responsibility to foster and support interest and awareness in the game. Although we're pleased with the recent participation growth among women and junior girls, there's more to be done to cultivate and embrace our fellow female golfers. Events like today underscore the fact that women interact with and approach the game differently than our male colleagues. We're here to recognize and celebrate these differences, acknowledge our uniqueness, and learn from one another so that we can expand our connection to golf as we help women new to the game create a similar lifelong relationship. And to those gentlemen who have chosen to join us today, thank you. Advancing the women's game will take effort and collaboration from everyone, so we thank you for your support. While we represent the Southern California golf community, the issues we'll talk about today cross state boundaries and affect us all. To that end, we are thrilled to not only have attendees from California, but also from North Dakota, Washington, the Carolinas, Iowa, New York, and Canada. So welcome to everyone. Before we get into the program, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our terrific sponsors that were highlighted on the screen prior to the start of this event. Crossing multiple categories, including equipment, apparel, instruction, participation, and promotion, this group of outstanding companies shares a common mission to support women's golf. Each of these brands has donated product in support of today's Women's Golf Summit. In total, we have 40 terrific prizes to be given away. We'll conduct a raffle later today and share the results with you all tomorrow as part of our event recap. Please be sure to show your support for these brands that continually work to support women's golf and help make this event possible. A few of them are offering special online incentives to today's attendees, so please take advantage of that. We'll again show the list of sponsors during our brief break later this morning. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that all attendees are on mute. If you do have a question during one of our presentations, you can type it in the question box you see in the panel on the right. We will be monitoring this and will ask relevant questions, time permitting, following each segment. Also, we do have some pre-recorded segments and videos we'll be showing throughout the day. If for some reason the video will not play properly on your end, it may be due to your internet connection. We will provide a separate link to each video posted in the chat that is located in the control panel to the right of your screen. If you're having difficulty when any of the videos play, please click on the link to view the video in a separate window. Now, to open the event this morning, we have a special message from CBS golf analyst Dottie Pepper.
Hi everyone, it's Dottie Pepper with CBS Sports, and I'd like to welcome you to the third annual Southern California Women's Golf Summit. And you see these people behind me? They did a lot to make golf really cool. Arnold and Winnie Palmer. Really fortunate to spend the end of the CBS 11-week in a row Odyssey on the road at their home in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. And you can feel golf here. And what you're doing is letting golf be felt all around where you are, and how important it is that we come through this pandemic, this crisis, with golf in the best way possible. and we're doing it. I can promise you, after all of these weeks on the road, that golf is alive and well, and you are going to be a very big part of carrying this momentum through. Learn a lot, have fun, enjoy being in our great game, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Dottie. Okay, let's get started with our first panel to discuss the state of the industry. Joining us today as our moderator is Kim Falcone, PGA Assistant Head Golf Professional at La Jolla Country Club in the San Diego area. Kim is also on the board of directors for the Southern California PGA and is the Women's Committee Chair for the SCPGA. Kim, thank you for leading this esteemed panel of great golf professionals. It's all yours. Thank you.
All right. Okay, I got a message unmuted, muted, so I'm going to start again in case you couldn't hear that. Sorry. Thank you, Nikki, and welcome everyone. Our topic today is the state of the industry, and I'm honored to introduce the amazing women on our panel. Susie Whaley is the president of the PGA of America, director of instruction for the Country Club at Mirasol in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, and director of instruction for Susie Whaley Golf. Kathy Harbin is the owner of Pine Ridge Golf Course in Paris, Texas, as well as the founder and president of the golf course management company On Course Operations. And Dr. Allison Kurt is the LPGA National Vice President, golf instructor at Wood Ranch Golf Course in Simi Valley, California, practicing psychotherapist and owner of Kurt Performance Therapy. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the state of the industry during a global pandemic. Susie, I'll start with you. How has COVID-19 affected the PGA of America, its members, and you personally as an instructor?
Do we have to talk about this?
Yeah, sorry. It is the state of the industry right now.
As everybody's world changed, so did ours. We had to revamp our budgets. We had to immediately come up with some relief for our members, of which we knew so many were suffering and weren't at work when it wasn't okay to be at work and when states were shut down. So we spent an enormous amount of time with our allies coming up with the Back to Golf initiative and guidelines alongside the CDC. And that was really something I think we're all incredibly proud of, still working on today. There are still golf professionals that aren't back to work and need that relief, but we've contributed $10 million, not just to the PGA of America, but to the industry in general and those that have been impacted by it. So really proud of that effort, but alongside that effort, you know, that $10 million certainly we had to find it. We had to come up with it and be okay with that process to do that. And we are. And so fiscally, even amongst the enormity of challenges we faced with postponement of championships, our PGA Professional Championship is the highlight for our members every year, which was canceled. PGA Championships, so grateful that the PGA Tour were unbelievable partners and we got a week on the calendar, but as everybody knows, we had to do that fanless, which was disappointing. But that event honestly will be something I'll never forget because of the way it was handled, the way our championship team pivoted. They had already started build out 6 months prior to us even having this announcement and postponing it. So you can imagine when you're there for 3 years on site as the executive director of the championship, how your world turns upside down and how you can, to the world, present a championship that's a major, but also offers inspiration and hope and gratitude that golf is still something that we do. So we've had to pivot and weave, and we've done a really good job of that, but I don't mean to say that hasn't had its challenges. It's been very difficult and very hard, but happy to be a part of that leadership team that's accomplished that. And then in my own personal world, you know, I can relate 100% to PGA professionals that are currently overworked because golf is so popular. We're incredibly excited that golf is this popular and so many people are to the game, but our resources are lowest that they've ever been. Owners have not brought all staff back on board. And so PGA professionals that are salaried are being asked to do a tremendous amount of hours and work to make sure their communities have an outlet. And I couldn't be more proud of our PGA professionals that are doing that in masks, especially the coaches and the teachers that are outside in Florida and Texas and California like I am. It is brutal to teach all day outside in the sun at 98% humidity, or in Arizona at 115 degrees in a mask. But we're doing it. And PGA professionals are doing it without complaint. And to me, people ask me all the time, what are you most proud of this year? There are just so many things I could list, but it's going to sound corny. But what I'm most proud of is our PGA professionals, because they're providing an environment for people in a responsible way that allows them to love the game without complaint. And that's pretty cool.
Well, as a PGA member, I want to commend you and the association. You guys have done an amazing job handling this situation. Kathy, as a golf course owner and operator, what challenges have you faced during the pandemic?
Well, like many people, when we first started, can you hear me okay? I'll start there. Okay, make sure that we're working. In the beginning, everyone, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of unknown. So the first few weeks, we experienced a lull where people were staying away, and then they realized golf was the place to go, that golf was available, and that golf was welcoming, and that golf could be a safe place where you could still do your social distancing and still have time outside, still have time with the family. So once we get past those first few weeks, as Susie said, we really have seen the uptick of people really enjoying all that's great about the game, being outside, being with your family, being with your friends, getting some exercise. So yeah, we've seen a big uptick like many people.
Well, and it's definitely been a challenge for everyone in the industry. Allison, share with us how the coronavirus has impacted the LPGA as well as your business as a teacher. Oops.
There we go, unmuted.
There.
Yeah, so business, I actually just ran in from a lesson teaching women golfers this morning, got my mask on and everything, so thanks for waiting for me. Business has been great, but we've had to adapt and evolve. And particularly from the LPGA, we've had to look at ways to continue education for our members who are currently going through teaching programs. We've had to look at how to support our teachers and our golf professionals to provide them with back to safety guidelines in order to get back out and work. And we've also had to look at how to support ourselves from a mental health perspective, how we've had to adapt being isolated, some of us being financially impacted in a negative way. I think that when we've moved through these different phases since March, when everything really started to get tapped down, we've seen a lot of golf professionals thrive during this time and have more students are coming out, more women are coming out, more families are coming out, and we're trying to just support the business with whatever means that they need. So I think in a way, it's actually been kind of a blessing for the golf industry because we're seeing this huge uptake. We're seeing a lot of individuals wanting to become teachers and come into the program during this time because they've had some more time on their hands to be able to further their education.
Well, I think we all could probably use a few sessions with you, Dr. Kurt, as we navigate this pandemic. So keep your book open so you can make some more appointments. So yeah, the golf rounds, obviously, everyone has noticed that has been a big change. According to the National Golf Foundation, golf rounds are up a total of just 3% through the first 6 months of 2020, but that includes a 16% drop in April when many of the golf courses were shut down. Golf courses rebounded with a 20% increase in July, which is an astounding 10 million more rounds than July of 2019. And I'm sure we can expect similar numbers in August. How can we capitalize on this renewed interest in the game? Anyone?
I'll go. Opening the doors every day and asking myself that exact same question. One of the things that I think is always a good reminder to me is that these people are coming in and I get asked the question all the time, are they new? Are they returning? It's a mix, but I would say many of them are returning golfers. They touched the game somewhere along the way as junior golfers or even maybe played in college and they left the game for life, a variety of reasons, and now they're back. And one of the most important things we can do is stay in touch with them. make sure that you're collecting data. Those of you that are operators out there, make sure you are collecting email addresses, make sure you're active on Facebook or Twitter or whatever is going on in your community. For us, it's still Facebook in my local community, but whatever you're doing, just keep them engaged, because they really, right at this moment, they are totally hooked. They're totally hooked on golf. They love it. They're seeing all the benefits that we talk about all the time with the game. And now when other things start to open up, bowling alleys, skating rinks, Little League, again, we need to make sure that we have created such a great environment that they want to stay. And then we have to keep reminding them of that by talking to them and communicating with them on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, it's so well said, Kathy, because it's just spot on. And I think anytime, even if it weren't a COVID, that communication piece with your customers, you want your customers not to be a client, you want them to be a partner with you in this. And that requires work and effort on the owner side, on the golf professional side, to build that relationship. And people love to feel like they have that access, that they are a part of your facility, that they're a part of your group and your community, and that you care about them. And to Kathy's point, as other opportunities open up, which we're all thankful for, we still have that ability to connect. And if you haven't seen somebody that you've been seeing every other day, reach out, whether, to Kathy's point, social media, phone, a telephone call is still incredibly dramatic for people. They're always shocked when I pick up the phone and call them. They're like, wait, Susie who? So you can surprise people with a call, and people are just grateful for that connection right now. So I couldn't agree more with Kathy.
I think from a teaching standpoint, that programming is as important as it's ever been. So just getting people to come out for that first lesson, and then tapping into how can I get them to be a 6-month golfer, a 12-month golfer, and then really lock them into potentially a membership where they want to bring their family out for food and beverage gatherings and social gatherings and more than just golf. And so I think that instructors particularly should be looking at, what does their programming say? How do they entice new golfers? And how do they keep them for extended periods of time? If you have a new golfer who has no equipment right now and they come out for their first lesson, how can you lock them down through Christmas time into 2021? When the movie theaters start to reopen, when other activities start to gather up for their kids, how can you keep them built into a program so that they want to come back? And I think that if we look at gym memberships, and so we lock down individuals into terms of contracts and then fitness commitments, I take that model and I build that into my program development. And so I really want to keep people in the long term and have them continue to have fun and keep coming back. So I would say looking at a facility's programming would be really vital during this time.
I agree 100% with everything you all said. 23% of all golfers are women. So when we talk specifically getting women out on the golf course, I'll direct this one to Susie and to Allison. What are the PGA and LPGA doing specifically to help advocate for getting more women on the course?
Yeah, I don't know. Allison, do you want to go first, or?
Sure. I think, yeah, I actually just came off the course with my student right before this panel, and part of it is the coach's initiative to use that in the programming. But to tie into the idea of the programming, the LPGA is using LPGA Golf 101. It's a program that builds golfers really from the green, moves them back to the tee, very similar to Operation 36. And it's a program for newer golfers where they may have no experience at all, to how to hold a golf club, how to start chipping, working them all the way back to playing a full round of golf. So LPGA Golf 101 is one of the programs that the LPGA has been doing to support women getting on the golf course.
Yeah, and happy National Women's Day, by the way.
Yes.
I saw that this morning, and so this is a perfect scenario for that. But LPGA Golf 101, Get Golf Ready, which PGA of America has done for a long time. However, many of our PGA professionals call it something else, right? It's an introductory green slope program, much to Allison's point of working from the green backwards, ensuring that people have the opportunity just to learn the basics so they can manage their game in a way that meets their goals. So I always look at it in groups of people, right? We have a younger mindset who is looking to this as fun, exciting, 9 holes, fun after with friends, cohorts. And then we have the 40 and up females who, in my opinion, are looking for it for business advancement as well as community engagement, and they want to do it quickly. They want to be able to manage it quickly. And that programming, to Allison's point from earlier, you really have to structure your programming like you would do for any golfer, not just because of gender, but what their goals are, what their timeline is, and what the opportunity is to capture that engagement and offer them the best experience possible. So we train that through our lifelong learning program for all professionals. We have an ADM model online called PGA.coach, which is really showcasing a long-term overall health and wellness and balanced golfer for all involved. And then we've just come out with PGA.com with our PGA.coach profiles, which is really connecting for the first time ever our PGA professionals directly to the consumer with their programming, what's being offered, whether it be a gender-based program, whether it be a skill-based program. Our PGA professionals are getting those leads from PGA.com sent right to their email box. Obviously, then it's up to the PGA professional to reach out to that connection. But just in the PGA Championship alone week, I received alone 10 connections, which was amazing. So I'm excited for the opportunity. We have about 1,600 PGA professionals currently signed up for that, and obviously looking to get far more of our PGA coaches signed up for that, so that consumers, when they say, gosh, I don't even know where to go or where to start, we can immediately say, you can find somebody in your area, and here's the opportunities they have. It's also going to be a rating system for our PGA professionals, which has never been done before. Obviously, a PGA professional can opt out of that if they choose to, but we're looking to optimize the search engine platform for our PGA professionals, have them come up first, and those that allow those ratings, just like a restaurant or any other thing we would purchase in today's environment, to be listed first. So risky, yes, but we feel that directly connecting a consumer to a coach is of primary importance. And I don't know about any of you, but I don't buy anything anymore without looking at the ratings. So in my opinion, it's something that for women especially, and it's a generalization, of course, but women want to know, are you coaching other women? What are you doing to do that? What time periods? Are you catering to my schedule, or am I being catered to based on the facility schedule? And I really believe in this day and age that we have to go above and beyond to understand the pull and tug of the work-life balance with families. They're homeschooling their children in many instances now, and how are we going to work around their life to offer them an unbelievable opportunity at outside health and wellness versus, oh my gosh, it's only offered on Tuesday at 1, and that's when I have 3 children on laptops in my house trying to accomplish 3rd, 6th, and 8th grade. That's not going to happen. So I just think we have to be keenly aware of our environment and what we're offering, to Allison's point earlier, and how we fit into our consumers' lives in a way that's a partnership.
So then, Kathy, speaking as an owner and operator, what maybe specifically with your facility, or even just what as working with on-course operations, what do you see that golf courses are doing to attract more women to their facilities?
Well, I'll start with everyone that's listening to this right now, all the women that are out there, you are making a difference, because one of the things that we know is that people gravitate to places where they see themselves. And the role models of every female golf professional or every female that's in the golf industry is already making a way for those others behind us to follow. And it really is, I say this all the time. I said this when I worked at Club Corp and we managed 200 golf courses. It's a grassroots effort. It's really has to be done at the grassroots level. It's golf professionals at a golf course that are fully intentional on making a difference with the women's game. The ones who make an effort, and it really is, you can't do it alone as a golf professional even. You really have to get a couple of players that are involved there to rally other people. And the one thing I've seen, I say it all the time, and I spent 3 months at the golf course that I bought before I purchased it, and I didn't see not one female playing golf. And now I rode the golf course on Saturday, and there was probably, the golf course was full, and there was probably 3 or 4 groups that didn't have a female playing. So I wanted to say almost every group had a female playing in it, because you just at a grassroots level, you create this environment where women feel welcome. They see people like themselves that are out there hitting balls, playing, and it really, you can do it on such a grassroots level at every single golf course. And it's not just you, it's finding people in the community that will bring their friends. And I've seen that so much. Susie, you talk about the mentor program and women bringing women into the game. It really makes a difference.
Yeah, and I think I have to give kudos to Kathy. If people aren't aware, Kathy owns her own facility. I had the chance to see it this year when my daughter was playing in a Symetra event near, or I can't remember, maybe it was a WAP event, doesn't matter, nearby Kathy's new facility. And I can tell you the other thing that she's not sharing is the ease of play that she's provided. So it's, you know, it's not 4-inch rough. It's the opportunity just to be out there. And if they don't hit the best shot ever, they're still playing the game. It's easily navigable and walkable. It's quick. And then they can grab something really quickly after if they choose to. They can hit some balls if they choose to. And if not, they're just welcome back. So it also stems from that ownership attitude of what are we trying to provide and what's the culture that we're building here, and how does that affect those that are coming to our facility? And when owners like Kathy and others, males as well, take that macro approach of what culture are we trying to provide, and are we providing it, and to be able to ride the golf course and really envision that from every standpoint and viewpoint for every golfer you have out there, that's not easy. That's incredibly challenging. But if you really want to make an effort to grow this segment of the market, you have to be hands-on and you have to think about those little idiosyncrasies. I think a lot of the reason people are also loving golf right now is they're not having to deal with raking the bunker. They're not having to deal with pulling the flagstick out and putting it back in, and pulling the flagstick out and putting it back in. And I don't think we should be overlooking those little subtleties of nobody really is right now, and that nobody isn't fair, many are. But result-based isn't as important right now for the majority of golfers as the fact they're getting out. And so it's instead of it, God, I played awful today. It's, God, wasn't it great we got out today? And if you think about a mindset that if we could carry that culture forward, realizing we have plenty of people who, like me, are very competitive still and aren't ever going to get all the way there. We've brought in this whole new group of people because we've lost the focus of hard, intimidating, slow. And now we're quick, don't worry about raking it, just, you know, use your foot. And gosh, don't touch the pin. Who cares about the pin, all right? And people are loving it. And so now I think to myself, gosh, how do we now go back as a hybrid? And we do choose to go back, because we are going to lose people that are like, well, I don't want to deal with that. Like, why is it so slow now, right? So that's going to be our next challenge, is how do we build this hybrid when we have this cool model that's what everybody's asked us for: quicker, less intimidating. I don't really worry about my score that much, and I get to be with my friends.
So, you know, we've talked a lot about growing the women's market. Girls' participation in golf is actually a growing market. You know, out of 2.5 to 3 million junior golfers in the US, right now, 36% are girls, which 20 years ago, it was 15%. I know when a lot of us were growing up, it was even less. So what is being done to help support this, and how do we help keep girls in the game?
Well, I can jump in and say, from the LPGA standpoint, the USGA LPGA Girls Golf Program, which has been running since the 90s, has sort of been the staple, I think, for getting junior girls in a community of like-minded individuals to learn the game of golf. And when working with girls, one of the things that I find that is really challenging for them is it's hard to find other girls to hang out with at the club. You oftentimes see 4 or 5 boys hanging out, teenagers, 10, 11, 12, mom and dad just drop them off at the golf course and they run around all day. But you don't see that too much with girl golfers. And so I think that the girls golf program has certainly given the opportunity for girls to come out, learn the game, have some social development, and be around a community of individuals that reflect who they are. And so that's one of the initiatives that the LPGA has been pushing for several years now. And it certainly has brought in so many girls to the game. I'm a host site at my club, and it's one of the answers to the problems that I have seen with the girls that I teach. They come for individual lessons at 10, 11, 12, 13, but then they have no buddies to go to the golf course with and hang out with. So when I opened up a site and started to create some girl golf days, We're a little bit on hiatus right now just because of the group issue in California. But when we go out of hiatus and back into those programs, then they have their friends back, they have their community back, and they're able to practice together and hang out.
I'll go next, Susie, and then you can
Yeah.
do the kind of summarize it for us at the end. Bring it all together, tie a bow around it.
Okay.
We did junior league golf for the first time this year. Just started my 4th year of ownership, and you know, we had people. There's no juniors were playing, same thing. And people were like, "You won't get 10 people." Well, we ended up with 28, so we're very proud of that. And 12 of them were girls. And we're happy with that number as well. And so it's really interesting, as you said, Allison, that the girls, I do have some private lessons with some of the other girls, and they're like, "Oh, I talked to Ella this weekend when we were playing against each other, and you know, she and we're going to get our parents to take us out and play golf together." So just creating environments where they can get together, they can meet, they can interact, they can develop friendships. Some of them come as friends, but a lot of them come solo. They just fell in love with the game, and then they do need to see people that are there that they can play golf with and have some fun with. And you know, I encourage a lot of parent-child or adult-child tournaments because for those parents that want to introduce their kid to the game, it's a great avenue, and for the kids that are already involved, it's a great place to show their talents off with their parents and for their parents. But I could almost host one of those every quarter and still feel good about getting that family environment out there. So I encourage your listeners to do that.
Yeah, you don't need a bow on it. You both did perfectly. So the OPGA girls golf, I was a very early adopter. I'm going to age myself in the early 90s at Blue Fox Run, which was a public golf course in Avon, Connecticut. And I have pictures of it still today because it was so cool, because I grew up in an era where I just had to learn how to play with boys. There just weren't any girls that I knew of. It didn't mean there weren't any, but I just didn't know of them in my community to play with other than 1 or 2. Then we all kind of played with the older women in the district events together, right? All 3 of us together. And that was the only time we had a chance to do that. And I didn't really play with women until I got to college on a collegiate golf team. It was the first time I hadn't been just constantly playing with boys. So when the LPGA came out with the program, I embraced it immediately and had amazing success with it. And to where it's come now is just so fantastic. Allison and everybody that's been involved that has really pushed the vision forward for the LPGA Leadership Links, which is just this unbelievable opportunity for young women to develop their leadership skills. I was on a little platform with some of them the other day, and I felt like I was being interviewed by Robin Roberts. They were so good, and they were 9. So I mean, it was just it's so fun to be able to watch golf professionals empower and inspire young girls that are coming behind us to know that not only is the game a place for them, but the workforce is a place for them at some point if they choose to, or they can use it for family or business or whatever it is. And we have these great role models doing that. PGA Junior League Golf has been something I've been passionate about since 2011 when I was on the player development committee for the PGA of America. That has grown, incredibly well with girls. I certainly am. I'm not satisfied at 36%. I want it to be 50%, if not more. But what I really love about PGA Junior League is the fact that everybody's just golfers. It's not, oh, I have to play with the girl or I have to play with the boy. What has happened instead is most of the young boys want to play with the girls because they're pretty darn good, And so it's turned into this environment where I hope 10 years from now, a young woman will be out playing perhaps after a business meeting and join up with 2 young men perhaps at the same facility, and off they go. But there's no, oh my gosh, where are they going to play from? We have to play with a woman or a girl. I just see that being dispelled by the day because of these incredible programs that our professionals are using throughout the country. You have Drive, Trip, and Putt, which has created awareness for families out there that this is a possibility for girls and boys from all cultures, which I'm excited about because we certainly have to get the inclusion numbers up beyond just girls, but all backgrounds and all cultures within the game. So, I think, again, to Kathy's point from earlier, this is localized. This isn't coming from a national level. We can offer platforms, but it's the professionals on the ground who inspire communities and who inspire families to play the game. And they deserve all the credit for what's occurring. We have 60,000 playing PGA Junior League last year. This year, even with COVID, we're almost at 35,000, which is an incredible testament to our professionals without an all-star season, a regional championship, or a national championship, all of which have been canceled. So, you know, we just have to keep going. We can't rest on that. We're going to be up supposedly, you know, the National Golf Foundation, you quoted some of the statistics, but they're saying we're going to have almost 500,000 new junior golfers by year end. And when you look at that, that's terrific. You know, but of course, in my mind and in my vision for our professionals everywhere, I want to see that even bigger than that. And what that's going to take is facilities opening up access, right? And as we realize within our communities that whether you're private, whether you're resort, whether you're daily fee, if you're not offering access at a time when golf is extremely hard to get a tee time for these young boys and girls and not making the time for them, we're going to lose that. We're going to lose that escalation and that trend upward because families are going to find a different activity. So I think we have to be keenly aware, yes, this is an incredibly positive time, but we have to see out in front of this and make sure that we're offering these young boys and girls the opportunity to get on course, even while our courses are extremely busy, or else we're going to lose them. We're going to lose them to another sport.
So we're going to wrap it up here in just a moment. I just want to ask you one more question before we take some questions from our audience. As female leaders in the game, you know, there aren't as many as we would like to see. As Kathy was saying, you know, people come to the golf course and they'd like to see themselves. And how do we improve that? How do we get more women as leaders in our game?
All right, I'll go first. I do think it is by example, leading by example, but I do also think that we have to be intentional about it. We've seen other industries that have changed the dynamics and changed their diversity numbers by being intentional and making sure that we always interview a female, that we always talk to a female before we hire for certain positions, and really intentional on that level of getting more women into leadership roles and even into the industry. I have been asked many times, and I'm sure everyone on this panel has, about trying to get a female into their golf shop or into the industry, and there are ways to do it. And I know both these two will probably talk about things that are happening at the different associations that are really making a difference. We have a whole lot of collegiate golfers, women collegiate golfers out there, but some of which completely leave the game. So how do we tap into that? How do we show them that this is a viable opportunity for their career? And how do we show that there are women that are successful doing it? I think that's a really good step.
I think it can be difficult to get women in leadership positions just on their own. And I'm really supportive of the power of invitation. And I know some of my biggest leaps in my career have been when another female model mentor has reached out to me and invited me either to sit on a committee or to be a part of something. And then that in turn inspired me to want to move up the ladder in the hierarchy and to lead on my own. And so my responsibility then is to then reach out to those behind me and invite them to be on committees and to serve the organization in governments, whether it's PGA or LPGA. And so I think as women, we can do a better job of supporting one another through that power of invitation. Instead of just having that one token female in each facility, why not have 3 or 4 individuals that are women that are running and operating the facility? Instead of just interviewing that one candidate for a position, that one female candidate, let's have 50% of the pool be that female candidates. And so again, I think it's part of the intention of being able to reach out, have that power of invitation to get more women to say, you know, you can do this, you can be a leader. Look at all of those great examples that we have, and let's go ahead and have you fill their shoes now. So the power of invitation, I think, is very, very important.
Yeah, well said by both of them. I love the power of the invitation. I'm just older, so I tell them. I say, I have put you on this committee and you need to call these people and ask for support and help, because, you know, we're in a moment in time where we have an incredible opportunity as leaders, regardless of our gender, to support those that come behind us. And if it's our responsibility in these seats to ensure that you are bringing somebody with you on that journey. And doing that, you have to set them up for success. You have to provide support, and you have to provide opportunity. And as we look at it, you know, the PGA of America is doing quite a bit of intentional things. Couple of examples. Our board has recently eliminated the citizenship clause. We are using collegiate scores as PATs, which hopefully will address some of the issues that Kathy was talking about. We are in a full-blown recruiting effort with staff committed 100% to recruiting young women as well as diverse candidates for the PGA of America as we look to diversify our workforce. We have diverse slate hiring protocols that we are sending to all of our sections, and any committed PGA professional that would like to have those will be able to see those. We started a program 5 years ago called PGA Lead, which is an intentional program to bring in women, minorities, as well as males that want to really learn more about leadership. We inspire them by bringing them to our committee meetings, to our annual meeting. We bring in keynote speakers. They're mentored throughout the year by PGA professionals in their journey. And then we have our PGA Works fellowships, which are fully paid fellowships in 14 of our sections currently. We're capital fundraising in hopes of having 41 of those fellowships fully paid after college to really introduce the game of golf to those who perhaps have never had any experience in it at all. So while all those things are fabulous, and we have partnerships with numerous organizations that are working on inclusion efforts, we've partnered with Jopwell, which is for our imagery at the PGA of America, across all industry publications, because as all of you listening are aware, I hope you've noticed, but in the last year and a half, 2 years, they don't look like they used to look, but we still have a ways to go when you look through those publications, especially in the golf industry. So we're working hard on that. But it really comes down to, again, that grassroots efforts. Who can you bring with you? Who are you mentoring? And if you're a mentee, what are you bringing to that? And how can you mentor somebody behind you? Because it's so critically important for us to get high-level jobs. And I see what happens to women in our marketplace. They are fully, work experience is similar. They have the background, they have the acumen, they have the determination and grit, and they get to that highest level job position and oftentimes are turned away. That culture at clubs has to change. People have to see more than one woman at a facility. People have to understand that this is a job and we take it very seriously, but we're also prepared for it. And when the culture changes and people understand that we can run facilities at the highest level, that's when we'll start to see more women get hired, because then those people have the hiring power.
Great.
And that's a mic drop if I've ever heard one. Thank you, ladies. This was amazing. I know we do have a couple of great questions from the audience, so we'll take just a few more minutes if that's okay with you. Jen, could you help us with some questions, please?
Yes, we had a question come in from Barbara. She just wants to know, with golf often being seen as a sport of privilege, how are you working on changing that perspective?
I'll jump in there.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'll jump in there. I can speak for, and Nikki can probably speak for this too. In Southern California, we've actually gone into some areas that are underprivileged, if you will, and let's say Compton in Southern California, and we've offered golf to high school and middle schools to expose those children who may not otherwise have the financial means to go out to a golf course and take private lessons, or to even purchase equipment, to have an opportunity to taste what golf is like. Consequently, we also have a program called Clubs for Youth, where high schools that may not be able to afford equipment for some of their high school golfers, we've had donations roll in and donated sets to those schools, so that individuals who may not have had an opportunity financially to be exposed to golf now do and can play at the high school level. So from the Southern California PGA side, I think we're doing a great job of exposing some of the underpopulated areas and in diverse areas that we don't see in golf, and getting them exposed to at least try the game and have the equipment necessary and the resources necessary.
Yeah, from the PGA of America's perspective, we have an entire inclusion strategy and plan that we laid out 5 years ago. We revamped that, not just because of the social unrest that's currently happening, but we want to keep evolving as we go, and we certainly aren't where we need to be. And the PGA of America has a sordid past when it comes to this, and we're proud of the efforts we've made and where we've come. Recently, we've had two calls where our leadership team, including the entire executive suite and our officers and board of directors, invited all of our Black PGA professionals to join us for a conversation, which was more about listening, understanding, as we feel like we're advancing and moving the needle forward, where were their perceptions on what we were doing, and is it what they felt was what was needed. And we've really come to some wonderful opportunities through those conversations of things that not only can we do better, but things where we feel like we can make a difference. And that falls really under our PGA Reach Foundation and our PGA Works opportunities and our scholarship opportunities for those that come into the business, our fellowships I talked about before, our PGA Works Collegiate Championship, which we hope to make one of our biggest championships that we own and operate. And I don't say that without understanding we have the PGA Championship and the Ryder Cup. We're also looking to endow HBCU golf programs. We have a capital campaign moving forward to that, as many of those programs, 16 of them, have been cut. And then, of course, our partnerships with community activations throughout the country, which we hope will fall into our new pillar called A Place to Play, which we believe access is a key component to inclusion within the game and one that's sorely lacking right now. We don't have all the answers today. We'll keep working through PGA Junior League and our scholarship program through PGA Junior League to make sure all youth can participate that can't afford to participate. We're partnering with the LPGA, we're partnering with our allied associations, as we realize together we will be much more successful than separate. And our hope is we won't have the same conversation in 10 years. We've said that about a lot of things, however, in the PGA of America, and it seems to happen slowly, but I'm proud of the fact that we're making intentional steps forward.
And I'll just add, Kim, just about the perception. We all see on television these high-end facilities, and that can be the perception. Less than 20% of all golf courses are private clubs. So, and 76% of all rounds played on golf courses are played on public golf courses. The average green fee cart fee is $36 per round, and I would challenge any professional out there, even if it's not your club. I feel very certain that in every community there is an affordable golf avenue. There's affordable golf out there, and you just might have to look for it a little bit.
Well, thank you all. I know we've gone a few minutes over our time frame here. I know all of you have extremely busy schedules. Susie, I know you're due in a board meeting here in just a few minutes. We can't thank you.
Okay, this was more fun.
Can't thank you enough for joining us. We're so proud of each and every one of you, all four of you. And we're extremely fortunate that we could have all of you join us today. So thank you, not only for today, but what you do for our game and specifically for women's golf. So thank you all.
Thank you for what you do, Nikki. Yeah. You are amazing, and congratulations to Southern Cal and all you've accomplished. It's truly so impactful, and you're the reason for that. So thank you, Nikki.
I appreciate those kind words. Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody. Have a good day. Happy Women's Golf Day.
Okay, well, what a great way to kick off the day for us. Those four amazing golf professionals and leaders that we have in our game. Very, very, very fortunate to have all of them join us. Before we go to our next segment, I want to share a short video with you. Each of our two presenting associations today have thriving foundations that encompass all that is good about the game. By offering access to play the game, furthering educational opportunities, community outreach, and providing avenues to even work in the industry, both foundations are committed to the promotion and enjoyment of our game. Please enjoy this short video highlighting the work of the Southern California PGA Foundation. The Southern California PGA Foundation offers many programs and initiatives that aim to benefit others, especially youth, with opportunities to acquire sustainable life skills and values obtained through the game of golf. Through its scholarship and grants program, the foundation will award over $250,000 in scholarships and $30,000 in junior golf grants this year. The foundation's Clubs for Youth program has impacted over 700 student athletes with a donation of over 700 brand new sets of golf clubs to 95 high schools throughout the Southern California region. The Southern California PGA also offers many opportunities for youth and professional mentorship. Girls' Night Out events were created in 2019 to connect the young women in our junior programs with the women leaders in our industry. Attendees were educated on the many career paths available in the golf industry, and were given some insight into possible future opportunities for them staying in the game of golf. The SCPGA is also dedicated to outreach and inclusion through the game. Our latest initiative involves introducing the game to the 4 high schools in the Compton Unified School District. Through PGA Hope, helping our patriots everywhere, veterans with disabilities are introduced to golf to enhance their physical, mental, social, and emotional well-being, all under the guidance of trained PGA professionals. PGA Junior League is an engaging team format to help young golfers make friends, have fun, and hopefully hook them on the game for life. The SCPGA Junior Tour provides competitive opportunities for boys and girls ages 5 to 18, offering 3 tiers for all skill levels. The Junior Development Tour provides junior golfers the opportunity to gain knowledge on the rules of golf, proper etiquette, and competitive nature of a junior golf tournament. The Players Tour offers more advanced competitive opportunities. And finally, the Elite Toyota Tour Cup features the best junior golfers in Southern California and is where many college-bound players compete. The SCPGA Junior Tour also boasts an impressive list of notable alumni, including many familiar faces on the professional tours, including Lizette Salas, Danielle Kang, Angel Yin, and most recently, the 2020 PGA champion, Colin Morikawa. Practice with the Pro program aims to give a Junior Tour member a once-in-a-lifetime experience and mentoring opportunity to play alongside a PGA professional or touring professional during a PGA or LPGA Tour practice round during the Southern California swing. There are also many competitive and social opportunities for women PGA professionals within the Southern California PGA section, including individual and team events and professional education. For more information, please visit scpga.com or follow us at scpga.
Good.
Thank you. For our second segment today, and I'm really looking forward to this one, we're pleased to be joined by 2 LPGA stars. Both of these young women started their golf journey right here in Southern California, with both enjoying the benefits provided from the SCPGA Foundation and the SCGA Junior Foundation. Our first guest is Lizette Salas. Lizette hails from Azusa, California. After a successful junior golf career, Lizette went on to play for the Trojans at USC, where she became the only USC student athlete to be recognized as an All-American all 4 years. Lizette has represented the United States on 4 Solheim Cup teams, and she's currently ranked 22nd in the women's world rankings. Joining Lizette is Angel Yin. Angel also grew up competing on the junior golf circuit here in Southern California. After dominating the junior golf and amateur scene, Angel took her talent straight from high school to the LPGA Tour. She turned professional in 2017 and has already earned nearly $2 million during her brief career. Angel has represented the United States on 2 Solheim Cup teams and is currently ranked 56 in the women's world rankings. Thank you both for joining us. Good morning. We may have you muted.
Am I still muted?
Got you, Angel. Chris, can we get Lizette unmuted? Lizette, do you see that microphone? See on the right right panel there? See, I knew this was going to be fun. I mean, we're already starting off. There we go.
Oh, here we go.
There we go. All right.
I fixed it.
Woohoo! I mean, if that doesn't sum up 2020, right? Good morning, ladies. Look at this
Morning.
Cup and USA representation. I love it. I love
Of course.
Bambi.
it. First of all, we can't thank you both enough for joining. We know you just got back from Arkansas, and I know you've got a little bit of a break, if I'm not mistaken, before you head up to Portland. Is that next stop?
We have A&A is the next stop. So
Yeah, the ANA. I'm gonna forget that. Yeah.
right down the highway.
Right down the highway. Too bad we can't come watch you in person, which is kind of a bummer.
I know.
We'll talk about all that. But kind of getting into it. I mean, kind of the obvious question. What has been the biggest challenge? I'm sure there's been several, but what has been the biggest challenge for you so far in 2020? And Lizette, we'll start with you.
Well, just kind of everything's so unpredictable. We've gone through moments where clubs were shutting down rapidly in Southern California. Everything was kind of up in the air whether we were going to be allowed to play. There was just a lot of questions, and that just left a lot of anxiety, just a lot of questions in my life, just in terms of my routine, seeing my team. I wasn't allowed to, see my coach or trainer, so I had to adapt fairly quick. And then we got a debt state to start up our season, probably 5 months later than expected. But I just went through a lot of emotions, like frustration, excitement, anxiousness. But I think overall, the most important thing was our health and our well-being. So I think that our tour just took that into consideration, and I'm just very fortunate to be close to my family, and my dad was very helpful in building a practice net in my backyard, so I was able to practice some. But yeah, I can speak for Angel and I, hopefully, and say that we were excited to get back out on the road and kind of sort of get back to normal.
Perfect. Angel, anything to add?
I mean, my only struggle was in the beginning, because I'm always liking to be outdoors, and all of a sudden you get quarantined in your own home. That was a struggle to adjust. But then soon after, I adjusted perfectly. I never left my home. And then when they wanted us to go out again, I didn't really want to. So that was another adjustment. But it wasn't a struggle to go out, because it was a little bit exciting and a little bit not. But yeah. That was my main struggle for this whole quarantine. But other than that, everything has been pretty good.
So pretty much like the rest of us, right? I mean, you guys are just normal people. It's been a little bit strange and just kind of a new world that we all have to adapt to.
Yeah.
But obviously for you, with travel being such a big part of what you did or do, it kind of affected you in a big way. So obviously you've had to make some adjustments, to your time and your lifestyle. I know, Lizette, you mentioned, the backyard practice area. I know you're very much into fitness and working with Josh and the guys at For Fitness, and kind of had to do that at your house and kind of on your own. And
yeah,
kind of walk us through how you made that adjustment.
Yeah, it's well, I started doing like the online workouts, and that ended quickly because I needed that, like, just one-on-one interaction, and I needed something that was more specific for me. So we just made adjustments, and we're practicing social distancing at the same time. We just had to make it work, even though it was a little awkward and uncomfortable. It's something that I felt like was needed, just for my well-being and for my physical fitness. And then also a lot of FaceTime and calls with my swing coach, which is not as abnormal. We always do that, but knowing that he's just like less than an hour away, it was really hard just to not have that interaction. But it's something that we had to do. So yeah, it's just so weird. obviously I didn't like it, but
Yeah.
I felt like I still needed to train as if we were going to go out the next week. So I just needed to do it.
Of course, of course. Angel, how did you adjust? Was there a net put up in your backyard or in your garage or no? Okay, perfect. Any exercising or working out? No,
No,
pretty much no. So
exercise
We
my
have
wrist.
the complete opposite.
okay, all right. Well, so
I did pick up fishing towards the end of like towards the end, right, like a month before golfing season started again. I picked up fishing. My trainer and I social distance. Instead of working out, we went fishing. So that's what we did.
We worked on that little wrist, you know. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. My chef skills went up. Yeah. I have a putting green in my backyard that I never used. I used to use it, and then during quarantine, I just never used it. It was quite opposite, but yeah.
Well, that was going to be my next question. You know, did you, like a lot of people, you know, people picked up new hobbies or, you know, found something else to occupy their time. You know, I actually cracked a couple books, which I never do, you know, things like that. But I think we saw as, you know, through social media, whether it was LPGA tour players or just athletes in general that were kind of just cooped up in their house like everybody else, whether they started cooking like Angel or, you know, picked up different hobbies. Anything new that you did, or did you just binge on Netflix, or, you know, what kind of occupied your time other than hitting balls in the net and you know, during your workouts for the day or eating?
I homeschooled my nephew for like 2 months, so I got a glimpse of mom life, and I'm just like, not yet. And then, let's see, Angel and I did a lot of Instagram lives just to, you know, get in touch with our fans, and we started a mass campaign with SPARM just to, you know, do our part and help our communities during this, you know, pandemic. Other than that,
We
I was
started a
practicing my
YouTube
decorating skills at home. You know, that's pretty much it. Yeah, what were you doing, Angel?
We started a YouTube channel. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah. You started
Well,
it.
your
I don't know. I
Instagram
just did
live, you know, was great. I mean, your Instagram live was like the comedy hour, and it was fun, and you know, you could really just see, you know, how great you all get together and the friendship that you have. But Angel, tell us a little bit about the project that you guys worked on with SPARMS and the donating the masks to different groups. Tell us a little bit about that and how'd that go?
Well, SPARMS approached Lizette, and then Lizette showed it to me. Was what they wanted to start pushing out masks and help people who can't afford masks to have masks to be able to wear so they can protect themselves. So we love that idea, and we're like, you know, we want to help out. We want to be able to give back to our community. So we looked into some local charities. My agency was able to help me out and recommend some really good ones. And then from there, we just kind of started pushing out and using what we had, our platform, to make it into something that was, you know, quite big, and to be able to help out. We helped out like what, three charities.
Yeah,
it's great. That's great. So as we've transitioned, you know, you've transitioned back to tour life, which I'm sure that looks different. So kind of walk us through a little bit of that. I mean, are you sort of in this bubble that we hear other sports being in? What are some of the protocols? And then we'll talk about the no galleries as well, you know, from a player perspective, how that works. So Lizette, you want to start us off with just kind of what are the protocols that you have to go through when you arrive on site?
Well, it actually starts before we get on site. We have to do a COVID test at home, just so that we're allowed to travel. And then once we get on
and
site,
are they sending that test to
yeah, they're
you, or you
sending
just
that.
have to
Yeah,
go?
they're sending
Okay.
that to our home, and we actually have to Zoom call like a nurse, and they have to watch us spit in a tube, and which is really awkward. And then when we get on site, we also have to do that same process again, just to make sure we're still clear. And then every day we have to go on a survey and submit the survey, and that's how we're allowed to get on site. Also, after we tested negative for COVID, And in that waiting period, we are not allowed to go in the clubhouse. And then we have to wear a lanyard every, like, when we're not inside the ropes, we have to wear a lanyard saying that we're clear. And then we have to wear a mask if we're not inside the ropes. We also now do our own tee times, which we used to just kind of show up on the first tee just to prevent, you know, interaction or like
For your
the
practice
crowd
rounds. You're
for our
talking about.
practice rounds. Yeah. I have to book those, and let me see. Everything is pretty much to go as far as dining. Everything is like pre-packaged. We're only allowed 2 people for our support system, our support team. Even coaches aren't allowed to be on putting greens. If they were to come out with us, they also have to get tested prior. There's just a lot. We can't go to restaurants and indoor dining. There's protocols if we violate those things. But Scotland was a little more intense. Angel, do you want to talk about what happened in Scotland?
Well, they just tested us, and then we can only go from hotel. Oh, the nose. Yeah, the nose.
Yeah, they did the nose swab.
That was not great, but we can only go from the golf course to the hotel and then back, and there's nothing else. There's nowhere else we can go. It's very strict. We can only get delivery, takeout, and then we just stay in our room. Although it's not as bad as everyone said it was, because players and caddies were still able to go downstairs while practicing safe social distancing and talk to each other 6 to 10 feet apart. Like, it was still allowed. So there were still human interactions happening instead of not close contact, of course, but not just locked up in your room. I didn't go down because I don't like to socialize with people. I just like to stay in my room.
So you're one that social distance is really a good thing for you,
Oh my
right?
God, that's great. Like, there's no hugging, there's no handshakes. You never know if people don't wash their hands. You don't know, you shake it, you're obligated to do something like that. And you didn't volunteer to do such things. It could be dirty, could be contagious. Now I don't have to do that, and I don't have to hug people because, for example, like last week, Walmart, it was ridiculously hot. Like, everyone's sweating through everywhere you can think of. Like, sweat's just and I really don't have any desire to hug anyone afterwards. So now you just wave and you go, thank you, bye.
Yeah, it's definitely changed the way we interact with each other, for sure, and probably will for a very long time. So, I'm happy for you, Angel.
I'm happy for everything too.
Overcome these phobias you have. It's a wonderful thing. So let's talk about at the tournaments. You've gone through all the protocols. Now it's time to tee it up on Thursday, and there's no galleries. I mean, how is that? I mean, for someone, I know both of you, kind of feed off of the gallery, and is it just, how is it other than different?
Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna impact. I didn't think it was gonna be that impactful. Just saying, oh, I practice by myself, or it's always quiet. I didn't think it was gonna be that much different. But when you're playing the weekend and you're trying to, climb up the leaderboard, and it feels like a practice round, it is really. I found it really difficult just to be in that zone for that period of time, because it's so casual and it's just me and you're caddying a few other people and then a few random claps like on the knee, like for a good shot. So I found that really, really difficult, probably the second week. But then third or fourth, when we were in Scotland, it was so windy you can't even hear anything, so it didn't really bother me. But I feel like it does change, obviously, the environment, kind of like your mental focus a bit. Yeah, it's hard to adapt. But now our 5th week out there, it was like, okay, well, this is how it's going to be. We might as well get used to it. And I told my caddy after a good shot, you better clap for me. So
need a little acknowledgement, right?
I know.
It's been weird even watching it on TV. It's like someone hits an amazing shot and it's just, crickets.
you hear a clap and you're like, where did that come from? Oh my God, we need to like make sure we say thank you. And then
Angel, anything to add to that on the gallery issue?
I think I have more crazy celebrations after a good shot. It's like, woo! I did good. Good. I was like, did you see that? That was really good, Matt. Did you see that? Yeah, I know. But it's not that crazy. It's crazy to think because I've played on the LPGA for so long, and you get a lot of huge crowds.
I mean, it is your 3rd year, so I mean, it's
that's
been,
So
okay.
feels like a lifetime. But I also played on the European tour where we had crowds, but it wasn't as massive as it is on the LPGA, and sometimes on weeks you don't really get a crowd. So it's kind of going back to the LET days, but yeah, I definitely hope the crowds are back soon and people can watch.
yeah,
and clap.
me too. And especially, I mean, we're fortunate to have 3 LPGA events in Southern California. Unfortunately, 2 of those have been canceled. Really bummed about Kia. And then the
you're in my
ANA, of
room.
course. I know, I'm in your room.
That's my
I'm using
bedroom.
it as an office. I hope you don't mind. And then of course the ANA being a major, and no fans, which is always such a fun event and a lot of people and a lot of energy. So, at least you're playing though, and we'll all be watching on our TVs and rooting for both of you, of course. Let's go back a little bit to junior golf days.
Sorry.
So
no fans
yes.
now equals to no stands, which is much more interesting because 18 won't have a stand anymore.
That'll be really awkward and odd, right? For that golf course.
You bounce it off with your second shot. You can't go for it and then try to bounce it off the bleachers.
Bounce it off the yeah. Well, there's
I've
still
never
going to
had
be
that option,
the jump
so I
into
don't know.
Poppy's pond, right? And hopefully it's one of you. So that would be amazing. So let's go back to the junior golf days. You both grew up here in Southern California. Superstars in the junior golf ranks. Other than winning all these trophies and shooting 62 and things like that. I mean, what are some of your most fondest memories of junior golf?
Go ahead, Angel.
Angel, you first.
You're the young buck. It was only like yesterday. So
yeah, it was only like 3 years ago.
Oh,
So.
is that why you want me to go first? Because it's like
Yes.
Fondest memories.
I mean, you won Junior World, right? How old were you when you won Junior World?
I was 8.
Oh Jesus.
Nice. I mean, you dominated the junior golf scene. There's no doubt about that. So.
I think it's more fun just competing with kids, and then these are the kids that you will be seeing for the rest of your life, basically. In your golf circle, it's not like they just pop up and they disappear. No, like you're going to be competing with them for basically the rest of your golfing career.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool, just to see everyone grow up together. It's like you go to school and you see these kids grow up, and it's the same thing with the golf competition world. And so that's pretty cool, and also holding up trophies, but that was really fun. Yeah.
And I mean, as I don't remember how old you were, but you qualified to play in the ANA as a junior golfer, and if I'm not mistaken, you did make the cut. How old were you when you played in that?
14 and 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty amazing.
Thanks.
Pretty amazing stuff. All right, Lizette, I know a lot of your memories, but let's share with the others.
Let's go back in the archives.
Yeah.
I mean, the one that sticks in my mind is the Junior America's Cup, just because that was my first glimpse of the team aspect. For just like a girl team aspect, I played on the high school boys team. And just to represent Southern California, and you are our captain, and just going through all the emotions of contending to win, and all the nerves and that pride that goes into that. So I really enjoyed those moments, and also just the friendships you build over the years. A lot of the players in Southern California go on to play professionally, so it's really cool to see how much we've grown and how our games have developed over the years. And You know, I'm good friends with Lee Lopez, and so we still talk about our junior golf days, and we tend to act like junior golfers when we're together. So it's really just cool to just to see how far we've come, and also just to see the development of the Toyota Tour Cup. I'm involved in creating an event with them, and just to see how much the tour has grown and the competition has grown. It's really cool to see just the development of players and the tour and the staff. So it's really cool to see all that.
Awesome. And we appreciate, you never forget where you started. So we greatly appreciate you, always wanting to help. Whenever the SCPGA calls you, it's always a yes. So we greatly appreciate that. So, in our last panel on the state of the industry, we talked about the incredible growth we're seeing in the women's game, and also with regards to junior girls. Right now, junior girls make up 36% of all junior golfers. And back in 2000, and I don't remember when you graduated. Back in 2000, it was 15%. Back when I played, it was probably 10 or less. So it's been incredible to see that growth. And so, now the big question is, well, how do we keep them engaged? Sometimes we see, if young girls, aren't as talented as the two of you, and, maybe they kind of sway away from the game at a certain age, maybe when they get to high school, how can we keep them in the game? What would be your advice to young ladies out there, or even parents that are listening, on how to keep more girls in the game?
Well, Angel, do you want to go ahead? You want to start?
You can go ahead. You can go first.
I mean, I feel like there's different aspects to that question. I feel you can talk about like the more social media aspect and how we could help girls in that aspect. We can talk about how we can help our own community, our own girls in our own community. We can talk about like the SCPJ works on the clubs for youth. I think that's what it's called. Am I right? I don't know. Okay.
Yes.
Which is a great outreach, and they've also helped my former high school. I feel like in a more intimate setting, which like the parent-player relationship, I feel like it's important to keep it fun. And I know right now with girls wanting to play professional, they think, oh, I got to turn pro immediately, and they have this pressure on them to to perform. And I feel like the longevity of a young golfer's career is to keep it fun and light and exciting. And that also comes from parenting, or how the parents help them keep it fun. I know for myself, if it wasn't for my dad being the person that he is, very positive, very encouraging, very light, but also if you're going to do something, you got to give it 110%. I would not be in this position today. So, I mean, there's different aspects, but I feel like for myself, giving back to my own community and making it known that golf could be a tool for success, or to be a different path. I think that's one way to approach it. Angel, if you want to jump in, that'd be great.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I want to just jump on that community aspect, because that was something I wanted to ask you. A lot of talk about outreach and inclusion and equality and all of this. And, we're certainly, everyone is trying to do their part. I mean, specifically in the Latina community, I mean, how can we, obviously a great role model in yourself, but, how can we as leaders in the industry do a better job of reaching out to these different demographics and areas?
Yeah, that's it starts in your own community, just to I guess for myself, like we started a junior golf program here in the San Gabriel Valley, and that's really changed the dynamic of how golf is perceived in this area. Angel and I were kind of the lucky ones that were introduced to this sport, and we want to make sure that every girl has the opportunity to know about golf. And I think it's like small foundations that can really make a huge impact. The Southern California Foundation does a huge outreach to communities like that here in this area. So I feel like if other sections can jump on that, just like how they do it here, would be such impactful in those minority population communities. So, you know, and also I try to do my part just by playing my best and hopefully being on the TV as much as possible. And if some, you know, little Hispanic girl sees that and she's like, oh my God, she looks like me, or I could do that. And, you know, also talking about my relationship with my with my family and how we're just as normal as any other Hispanic family. I think just, yeah.
Absolutely. Angel, any final comments on how we can get more girls in the game and keep the girls that we have?
Well,
is it about having fun? I mean, is it, you know, again, not everyone is going to play at the level that you two did. You know, but how do we keep these girls engaged, or how do we, you know, open the door for them to try it out?
I don't think it's more so like trying to keep the girls into the game. I think it's they should just have fun, because at the end of the day, you can get so far with golf and helping you with your career and life and wherever you go. You don't have to become a professional golfer. My friend actually did a recent piece. Her name was Rachel Dye. It is Rachel Dye, not was. Her name is Rachel Dye. Did a piece with Annika with her foundation of how she talked about her story, how golf has taken her so far. I mean, she's working her dream job right now, and she's doing what she wanted to do in life. And she's not a professional golfer. She was a great golfer, but she knew that that's something that she doesn't want to do, and she wanted to do something else. So I think it's more so educating girls that if they're playing golf and they're playing competitive golf, they don't have to turn professional. They don't have to do this. They can use this and become something even greater in life, what they want to do. And it's just a fun sport to either take away stress, anxiety, whatever you have. You just go on the golf course and you just be yourself. You just have peace. It's more than just competition and winning. I think it's just it should be more than that.
Yeah, no, well said. I mean, it's a game for a lifetime, right? And some have, you know, are fortunate and talented enough to make a living playing this game, but all can play the game and enjoy it, you know, really at any skill level. And, you know, that's one thing that we're trying to do as well, is just educate young girls and boys on, you know, all the opportunities within golf, you know, as a career option, because it's not just being a tour player or being a PGA or LPGA professional. There's a lot of opportunities to stay within the game and make a nice living. So I know we have a couple of questions from the audience before we wrap up, if you guys are okay with that. Jen, can you help us with a couple of questions, please?
Well, to start, we just have a message to Angel from one of our participants. From Becky. She would like you to know that at the ANA this year, there will be a branding wall behind the 18th green, so you can still bounce it off.
How big is
we expect to see that shot, Angel.
How big is this branding wall?
More info to come.
That's funny.
First question's actually for Lizette.
Okay.
Holly would like to know, well, first she would like to commend you on your awesome social media. And she wants to know if that's all you and your creativity, or have you had some guidance from social media experts?
No, all my social media is me, myself, and I. You know, just trying to get ideas from different people. As far as my Instagram live, I just wanted to give my fans a more in-depth, more intimate, I guess, knowledge of me and my team and what I do. I want people to know that I'm not just a golfer. I have certain interests, and there's also people that help me become who I am. So yeah, all my social media is me, and we're trying to take it up a notch.
Awesome. And then from Mimi, this question is for both of you. Due to the break from golf you had because of COVID, what was the toughest skill to regain, and what's the best practice for getting back into competition shape?
Ooh. Angel, go ahead.
Best practice? What was the question again? Can you repeat?
Yeah, that was a long one. That's why I threw it to you, because I'm like, I got lost.
Yeah.
Let's just start with, you know, due to the COVID break, what was the toughest skill to regain once you got back to competition?
I believe for me it was the rhythm of just competing again. When I went out, I was practice, I would play great, blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh, my game is on point. This is great. But once you enter a competition, it just feels different. It's not something that you just go out there and you play around with your friends, even competitively. It's something that you really have to get in a groove of and be able to, manage your emotions, how to hit a golf shot, your tempo. Because for me, my biggest struggle was adrenaline. I forgot how much adrenaline I have when I play at tournaments. So I really had to slow down my pace a lot because I just was getting too amped up and I was losing all my sequences, my swing, my putting stroke, my train of thoughts. So I really had to slow down again and be like, oh, okay, this is what I feel in competition and this is what I need to adjust to again. And it was a big factor that you don't really get until you get to play a tournament.
Totally. And on like a lighter note, I had to remind myself to mark my golf ball and like don't just like pick it up or like give myself a putt. Like, oh, I actually have to like putt out and then like reach down and pick up the ball out of the hole. So that took like a few days to adjust because my caddy's like, yeah, make sure you mark your golf ball. I was like, oh, oops. But yeah, as far as just the rhythm of everything, it took some time to adjust.
Okay, well, thank you both. I know we've gone a little bit over your allotted time. Can't thank you both enough for joining us today, making time in your busy schedule. We all wish you nothing but the best for the remainder of this season and your entire career. You got a lot of fans here, as you know, and although we won't be able to come watch you both in person, we'll be glued to the TV and can't wait to see that bounce off the wall on 18, Angel. Can't wait to see that. So again, thank you all for joining us and all the best for the rest of the season.
Thanks, Nikki. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thanks, everyone. At this time, we're going to take a short 5-minute break. Please be sure to return at 10:30. We'll hear more from the SCGA Foundation, as well as from our keynote speaker, Mr. Mike Wan from the LPGA, and our last panel on diversity and inclusion. Thanks for joining us so far, and we'll see you back in 5 minutes.
For 25 years, Golf Tech has been bringing innovation to golf instruction. Through the challenges of today, that's never been more true. With the enthusiasm for golf at an all-time high, we're inspired to keep innovating and celebrate this great game. Discover how Golf Tech's approach has helped thousands of golfers improve their game.
Keep the face open, you'll be fine.
Golf Tech, helping golfers for 25 years. For 25 years, GolfTech has been bringing innovation to golf instruction. Through the challenges of today, that's never been more true. With the enthusiasm for golf at an all-time high, we're inspired to keep innovating and celebrate this great game. Discover how GolfTech's approach has helped thousands of golfers improve their game.
Keep the face open, you'll be fine.
GolfTech, helping golfers for 25 years. For 25 years, GolfTech has been bringing innovation to golf instruction. Through the challenges of today, that's never been more true. With the enthusiasm for golf at an all-time high, we're inspired to keep innovating and celebrate this great game. Discover how GolfTech's approach has helped thousands of golfers improve their
Keep
game.
the face open, you'll be fine.
GolfTech, helping golfers for 25 years.
Welcome back, everybody. At this time, we'd like to show you a short video highlighting the SCGA Junior Foundation and how their efforts are promoting golf to girls in our region.
Golf teaches me to have good sportsmanship and to stay focused a lot, because on tests you have to try to stay focused, and on golf tournaments you have to stay focused, so it just helps me with my life.
I see you've met Natalia. Hi, I'm Suzanne Kelly and I am president of the SCGA Junior Golf Foundation. Thank you for being with us. Natalia is just one of the amazing girls that we know, and we are excited to share the important work that we are doing to get girls on the golf course and to keep them playing. Through 2 LPGA, USGA girls golf chapters, girls-only golf classes, and connecting girls with female mentors, we are changing the face of golf. You don't have to take it from me, though. I'm excited to introduce you to some of our college scholars and program alumni who will tell you how our programs have changed their lives.
The reason why I want to see more girls playing golf is just to have equal representation of the sport. It's usually seen as a guy's sport where the boys go out and play, but it's just as much fun for when the girls go out to play. I mean, I met some of the great friends through this sport.
They give so many opportunities to girls and allow them to not just enjoy the game of golf, but provide lessons that they can carry on through the rest of their lives, whatever path they may choose.
I just love seeing all the potential and all of the just how excited girls are to play golf. Like, you don't get to see that every day, and I just love being a part of it.
Golf is such a male-dominated sport, and we all need to feel confident and supportive and happy when we're on the golf course by having more friends.
My first thoughts of college golf was probably through one of my coaches. It was a bit of an issue or a worry that we had in our minds that financially it would be very tough to get into college. However, with the help of SCGA and people that they connected me to, it made it a lot easier and kind of assured us that no matter at whatever income level you were at, that there was a fit for you. It kind of just left the door open of us driving forward and putting as much effort as we could in.
I started playing golf when I was about 12 years old, and when I first got involved with the SCGA, I was very shy, very introverted, and I didn't really like talking to people, especially adults. But the SCGA had these events called Play Days, and this is when SCGA junior golfers get to go to these really cool country clubs, and you get to play with members of the club, and then you get to have lunch with them after and talk to them about their careers and how they got to where they are now. I think the SCGA has definitely helped shape the person who I am now. I'm definitely more comfortable talking in front of people, and I think the SCGA has helped me become a mentor, and I think that's why I gravitate towards these leadership roles, so I'm forever grateful for the SCGA.
These young women are absolutely inspiring, but it doesn't happen overnight. By connecting our kids with local coaches who are trained in positive youth development, our girls develop critical, social, cognitive, and emotional life skills that they carry with them long after they've graduated our program. We can't and don't do this alone, though. Through partnerships with the Women's Sports Foundation, the LPGA and USGA, and dedicated supporters like you, we are able to reach even more young women. I'd like you to meet some of our participants and their parents to tell you about our program and the impact that it has.
I love the game of golf because it not only teaches me life skills, but it also gives me the opportunity to meet new people on and off the golf course and build relationships that last a lifetime. My favorite part about the SCGA Junior Girls programming is seeing the girls hit their first ball. I used to be in their shoes when I was 6 years old. I started playing, and just watching them grow, being able to mentor them, empower them that they can do just as good as boys is what I've always loved watching them do.
What excites me most about my job is not just the development of kids through the game of golf, but really utilizing the game of golf as the vehicle that develops kids off the golf course as well.
Favorite thing about coming to SCGA events is meeting new people, like trying out new things.
My relationship with my daughter because of golf has increased significantly. It started off as a hobby, but she's replaced my husband in terms of my regular 18-hole partner. SCGA Junior has provided us with numerous opportunities to spend a lot of quality times together.
Where I've seen Sam really grow on is her confidence and the mature woman she's become through the opportunities what the SCGA has given her in terms of public speaking and just being comfortable with herself and just speaking just her mind. You know, it's amazing to the person she's become.
The SCGA support helps the families to talk about education, about the possibility of one day you might have an education because you came involved with SCGA. It's not just golf. They're more focused on education. They're just using golf as an instrument to get kids excited, comfortable, so you can talk about your future.
As you can see, girls golf is so important because it helps these girls and young women learn critical life skills, make new friends, and create lifelong memories. We champion girls golf.
I was inspired to join SCGA because it's an opportunity to help kids that wouldn't otherwise have a chance to play the game of golf, a chance to work with kids in underserved, underrepresented communities where maybe there's not a golf course, and if there is, it's too expensive to get there, but it gives me a chance to talk to them about life, different goals that they may have, dreams, and I get to do it on a golf course.
Golf is a very challenging game, and I think it's very important for girls to be exposed to it at a young age. It teaches you patience, and it teaches you perseverance, and when you succeed on the golf course, I think it brings amazing self-confidence to the girls.
I've been a member of SCGA Junior for feels like forever. It's been the best decision I've ever made. I feel because of SCGA, it helped me realize and understand what I wanted to do in the future after college.
SCGA Junior is absolutely more than just golf. The opportunities to go to different country clubs, to meet different people from different walks of life. Maybe they're going to talk to someone that's in finance. You know, they wouldn't have a chance to do that until they reach college, and SCGA gives them a chance to do that.
With the SCGA member outings, it was really easy to see all the different options that were available. That emphasized how important school was, whether or not you were going to play college golf, but getting the education meant you could go far.
I've personally seen the program's impact on kids. I was able to play with Dana Bryant, a recent scholarship winner. She had so much energy and so much poise on the golf course. I was really impressed.
If SCGA didn't exist, I definitely would not be in the place that I am now. I don't even think I would have continued playing golf. They really helped to push my passion for the game. As an encouragement to younger girl golfers, I would just encourage them to have fun out on the course. It's really cool to see young girls out there playing the game.
I think it's important for women to support girls so they have the confidence to succeed both on and off the course. I champion girls golf.
I champion girls golf.
Thank you for supporting my growth both on and off the course.
My coaches have helped me become more patient,
determined, and confident.
This wouldn't be possible without you. This wouldn't be possible without you.
This wouldn't be possible without you.
We hoped you enjoyed hearing the stories from these amazing young ladies. Their stories give me hope that together we can continue working towards making the game more equitable for all. Will you join me as a champion of girls golf? Thank you.
Great video, and as you can see, both association foundations are doing wonderful things for our game and specifically for girls in the game. So we thank everyone that has supported both foundations, both with your time and your donations. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Michael Wan, Commissioner of the LPGA Tour. Mr. Wan is the 8th Commissioner of the LPGA Tour, one of the longest running and most successful women's sports organizations in the world. Mr. Wan assumed the leadership role at the LPGA in January of 2010 with an eye toward enhancing business relationships, increasing exposure for the players, and maximizing the LPGA experience for fans. And he no doubt has done just that. Mr. Wan, are you with us yet? I think we just got a note from his assistant that he's tied up on a phone call. I'm sure no doubt talking to a very valued sponsor of the tour or perhaps one of his players. Again, we'd just like to take this time for thank all of you for joining us on this very special day of Global Women's Golf Day as we celebrate the game and we celebrate women in the game really throughout the world. There's many, many events happening today at many golf facilities, whether it's clinics, or play days, or educational opportunities like we're doing here today. So we thank you for joining us. We're sorry that we couldn't be in person, obviously, as our worlds have changed, but it has allowed us to open up our doors to many more people across the country, as we mentioned before, and to be able to share our passion for the game and what we do on a daily basis through our associations here in Southern California. And we know so many other associations are doing this throughout the country. Also would like to thank our opportunities. Sorry, just getting a text from Mr. Wan's assistant. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors once again. You know, when we decided to do this virtually, you know, we really didn't have a lot of time to plan to put it together. And when we reached out to some of our partners from both associations, and some of which we enjoy as partners for both, no hesitation in becoming involved. And again, there's a lot of product opportunities. We have some great prizes that will be given away, but also take a look and there's some special discounts, discount codes for apparel and equipment. So take a look at that and really take a look at who these sponsors are, because they've really, you know, put together a great support system for us, you know, in order to put this on today for you and certainly in everything that we do. Okay, Mr. Wan, I believe you're on, but maybe we're having an issue with your camera. Or maybe he's muted. There you are, sir. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. I was yelling, but just like the day at the work, I'm yelling and nobody really pays attention anyway.
Well, we can't thank you enough for joining us today on this very special day of Women's Golf Day. We know how incredibly busy your schedule is, so thank you so much for joining us, and the tee is yours, sir. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Well, I think for some of you who've probably heard from me before, I usually start any presentation with 3 legal disclaimers. You know, when you watch those pharmaceutical drug ads that tell you they're going to make your life better, and at the end it tells you, like, you know, it may stop your heart, it may cause a rash. I always feel like if you're going to listen to me speak, you ought to know the legal disclaimers before we start. So, number 1, I am highly, highly caffeinated. So at some point you're going to go, my God, is he speaking fast and he hasn't taken a breath? That's probably true, but I'm a 3 or 4 Coke Zeros in, so so I apologize in advance. I would say, generally speaking, I am the only man in the meeting, or so whether it's a players meeting, LPGA meeting, teachers meeting. So it's always exciting if there's a mixed group. It's funny, we're having a lot of discussions about diversity and inclusion and feeling different. And I remember saying to my staff, I know this probably sounds strange to you, but I remember walking in 2010 and thinking, there's not many guys in the room. And it's been one of the greatest learning experiences for me, because I feel like a minority in the golf game at the LPGA, and I wish more guys could have the experience that I've had in terms of growing up. And then the last thing I always tell people is, if you're expecting a really impressive business leader, you know, superstar commissioner, unfortunately, I'm not that guy. I wish I was. I wish I was the smartest guy in the room. I remember when I was being interviewed back in 2009 by the selection committee, they asked the question, what's your leadership style? And, you know, pretty simple question. And I remember thinking, my God, I'm 45 years old and I don't have a leadership style. So I asked them to repeat the question just to buy some time, as you do when you're stressed in an interview. And, you know, they kind of looked at me like, repeat the question, what's your leadership style? So out of fear, I just told them a story, which is, you know, when I was 10 years old, I played my first season of Pop Warner football, and the league was for 11, 12, and 13-year-olds. But my dad allowed me to go in. This is back before anybody had show birth certificates or anything like that. They just asked, is your kid 11? And we said yes. Now we'd probably be in trouble for that. But so I was a really small kid. I loved football. I really wanted to play. And after our first week of practice, we used to stand on the side kind of the parking lot playing catch until our parents would pick us up after practice. And my dad walked up to the head coach and he said, hey, coach, I'm Denny Wan. I'm Mike Wan's son. What do you think? You know, after a week, you know, where do you see Mike fitting into the team? And I remember the coach saying, I can remember this like it was yesterday. I'm 55 years old today. And he said, you know, Mr. Wan, I got to tell you, your son, he's not very big, as you know. So there's no way he could take the pounding of the offense or defensive line. Despite how small he is, he's really not that fast. So we're not going to probably try him at running back or receiver. My dad, remember my dad saying, how about kicker? And I'm thinking to myself, you know, my dad in 4 minutes have bailed on me. And the coach said, you know, he's a small guy and he's not very fast, but he's really learned the offense in like a week. And he's very comfortable pushing back on the coaches when he thinks the wrong play has been called, and sort of knows what every player is supposed to do during a call. So we're going to try him at quarterback and see how it works out. And so, of course, on the drive home, I'm crying on the way home, saying to my dad, coach doesn't like me. I'm too small. I'm too slow. All true today. And my dad said, you pulled over on the side of the road. And my dad said, hey, what that coach just said is they are better athletes on that team than you. That's a fact. You're 10 years old, and it might be a fact the rest of your life. But he trusts you to call the play, and he trusts you to get the ball out of your hands and in the hands of more talented people quickly, because somebody's got to do that. Somebody's got to have the role of getting talented people in the huddle, getting them on one direction, and then really getting the ball out of their hands. I tell you that story because at 55 years old, I'm still that quarterback. I'm not quite as thin or small as I was. I'm certainly slower than I was. But I remember saying to the board that was looking for the commissioner at the time, if you're looking for, I remember saying at the time, if you're looking for David Stern, which I thought was a smartest guy in the room kind of talent, I'm just not that guy. But what I can promise you, if I'm the commissioner of the LPGA, is we're quickly going to get a more and more talented huddle. And the reason is because I can't win on my own. I'm not talented enough to figure it out and succeed. But I will bring in some of the best people in the world. And then what I'll promise you is more often than not, they'll have the ball in their hands and not me. The reason I kind of thought of that, I haven't really told that story in probably 10 years. But the reason I thought of it is, you know, when I got asked to speak here today, one of the questions was, sort of how are you managing through a global pandemic. And man, I'd love to tell you that, that I locked my door and I came up with all these creative ideas and then I motivated the team to go do it. But the reality of it is, when a crisis like this hits, and this was certainly a tour crisis, you either have the team to get through it or you don't. And if you don't, it's too late to build it. And in my case, I had that team. I think I always knew I had that team, but the crisis just put a glaring light on it. And so what's really happened for me in the last 150 days is the ability to step back and watch my team do what they do, to watch people that were really hired to run golf tours, figure out medical protocols and build a team of medical advisors and figure out testing and figure out close contact with 16 different locations. No country, no state, no city views this test protocols the same. So just once we figured it out for Toledo, it meant nothing. It just meant we'd figured it out for Toledo, and then we'd start over again in Scotland and start over again in Walmart, start over again in Portland. But to watch my team go do that has been pretty impressive. And it's been exciting for me to watch a group of people that I've called my teammates now for quite a while essentially take over the LPGA. And so really in what's by far the worst year I've ever experienced in business, and I gotta believe the worst year in LPGA history in terms of all challenges happening at once. Our revenue of the LPGA is down close to 60% in 2020. And it's one thing to have your revenue down 60% and know it's coming, forecast it, plan it, budget. It's another thing to be tracking 25% ahead of year ago through January, February, and have it all come to a complete stop, and then have to actually fix everything as you go. So a lot of strange things as we've built that. I'll show you my screen here and just show my group would never let me speak to you guys and not at least have a few slides. Hopefully that's my main screen coming up, and I'll just take you through. Can you guys see that okay? Can somebody unmute and just tell me you can see that?
We can, Mike. Maybe if you want to make it to where we don't see every slide on the right, like presentation view.
How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So I jumped forward 5 or 6 slides to what I was supposed to probably be talking to you about, but I'm just going to kind of cut to, where we are as an organization. If I look back 10 years ago or 11 seasons ago for me, I remember walking in 2010 and asking some basic questions. How is our television? The answer to the television is, we have 19 of our 22 events are on TV. The bad news is 60% of those events are on tape delay, typically aired about 11 p.m. or midnight. Only 4 of our events were in high definition. Now, for those of you too young to even know there was such a thing as standard definition, there was, but I would tell you in 2010, very few, if any, sports or any TV program had it, but the LPGA had it. We had standard definition on most of our TV. And we had about 200 hours of TV with 125 of those hours in tape delayed. So, if you kind of jump forward to where we were before the pandemic hit, and we just finished 2019, we had 34 events on our schedule. We went from televising our events to 9 countries to 69 countries last year. 92% of our television is live. Obviously, it's all high definition. It was pretty quickly after 2010. And we had about 525 hours of total TV, not including, the International Crowns and Solheim Cups that eat up a lot more. So all highest in history in terms of most countries watching us, most amount of TV, most amount of live TV, most amount of total hours in any country. Virtually every hour of TV we produce in America gets televised in at least 155 countries, usually 169 right now. That number will actually jump over 180 when we get back from pandemic times. So the good news is I used to say that if you were an LPGA Tour fan in 2010, you had to be pretty committed. One is you had to watch us at 11 o'clock at night. 2 is you had to watch us when you already knew what the answer was, like you already know who won the event. And if you tried to watch us overseas, we were going to come on really sporadically. And quite frankly, you couldn't count on any given year that we were going to be on. So today, in 169 countries, you can watch the LPGA. You can watch us virtually every week. We played in Rogers, Arkansas last Sunday, but the championship was aired in 169 countries. It was aired live in all those countries. It was re-aired again in primetime days in Asia. So Asia will run it in the middle of the night and then run it again at noon the next day. I think for those of you who follow the LPGA, I mean, we're a totally global brand. We have players on our tours from 60 different countries. As a result, we're televised all over the world. And it's really a difference maker. I can't tell you how many sports have called me and asked, how did you guys figure this whole global thing out? Which is kind of humorous because figuring it out isn't really an option. You just sort of go. Back in 2010, it wasn't very in style to be global. A lot of people thought the end of the LPGA was going to be all of our international influence. Today, the size of the LPGA is almost completely contingent on our international influence. We aren't a group that puts on golf tournaments for money. We generally lose millions of dollars in our tournaments over the course of the year between giving money back, giving money to charity, helping tournaments get through some bad times. We're a money-losing proposition when we play. But because we sell those TV rights all around the world, we more than make up for that. So no different than the NBA is today, or the Olympics for that matter. I always say we just try to put on a little version of the Olympics. We try to get the best players in the world to come to Rogers, Arkansas one week. We try to put on a really cool hometown event for Rogers, and we just let the rest of the world watch. As most of you probably know, but for those of you who don't follow us that closely, we're 4 different tours today. So obviously the LPGA Tour, you probably know the Symetra Tour, which is our feeder tour to the LPGA based here in the US. Starting in the end of 2019, we did a joint venture with the Ladies European Tour. And so now we own that tour 50-50 with the existing LET. We've created a new board. I'm the chairman of that board. We have 6 members from each side, if you will, on that board. I'm really excited to tell you that we did that deal in October. And 30 days later, we had added 9 new events to the LET schedule for 2020. Unfortunately, the LET schedule, just like the LPGA schedule, has gotten blown up pretty good in the middle of this, but nothing that's going to affect us longer term. And like the LPGA has Symetra, the LET has the LET Access Tour. So we run all 4 of those tours. I'm excited to tell you that all 4 of those tours are back up and running. They all did stop at different times. But they all did stop, and now they all are playing again with a few $1 million of testing protocols, but certainly up and running again. I won't go through all the 4 tours, but I'll give you one look at kind of what's happened to the LPGA. So we were a little unlike a lot of the other tours in the fact that we played our first 4 events, and I'll never forget February 9th, because on February 9th, I wrote my first memo to the tour explaining what coronavirus was, which is kind of humorous to say that out loud today. But we were in Australia. Our plan after the Australian Women's Open was to go to Thailand, and then Singapore, and then China. Those are 3 of our bigger pursed events, 3 of our more globally televised events throughout Asia. Always have the best fields on tour. And we've been going for 10 years. When I got a call when we were in Australia from somebody in China kind of explaining coronavirus, I didn't really know what it was. So I hung up and I called Thailand, which is where we were going next. And one of the ministries of health in Thailand told me, for the first time I'd heard this term quarantine. I thought of quarantine like a military term, so I thought there was something lost in translation. His English was spotty and mine's never been good. So I said, quarantine, I'm not sure I really get that. I said, explain to me further what you mean by you would quarantine the LPGA. And he said, well, if somebody in your tour or a volunteer or anybody around the staff were to get coronavirus, we would lock your hotel for 3 weeks. Back then it was 3 weeks. And we wouldn't let you out. And at the end of 3 weeks, we'd test everybody. If everybody was healthy, we'd let you fly to wherever you want to fly next. And I remember thinking, 3 weeks locked in a Thailand hotel, that will make for some great global CNN. So we obviously decided to cancel those 3 events. The funny thing is, and probably not funny at all, about 10 days later, the first cruise ship happened where they couldn't come onto port because there was sicknesses. And I remember hearing one of the safety people at the time was in Singapore saying, we will quarantine that ship until further notice. And I remember thinking, yep, that could have been us. So we came home from Australia fully planning to start up our North American events in March. And then obviously March didn't happen, and April didn't happen, and May didn't happen, June and July didn't happen. But more recently, we've played 5 events. We started with back-to-back events in Toledo. We went to Scotland for 2 weeks, which I never thought would happen. Crossing borders right now between countries is really challenging. Came back on a charter plane from Scotland to Rogers, Arkansas, which we played last week. We'll have this week off, which would have been our Canadian Open. But mostly we can't cross borders other than the US without avoiding 14-day quarantines, no matter how strict our protocols. Scotland and the UK gave us that break. We'll be back. We'll play out west. We'll come back and we'll play in New Jersey and in Pennsylvania. We probably won't be in Asia for 4 events in a row in October. We're going to add a couple of our own events in Asia if the Asian events can't be played. Shanghai would like us to come, but only if we're going to quarantine for 14 days before, and the same would be true in Korea, and the same would be true in Taiwan. So probably won't be able to play those events, but it's good to be back in. As I said this in the beginning, 2020 won't be the season any of us planned on, but at least we'll play. And what we've done for our athletes on all of our tours, all 4 of our tours, is said in 2020, you play as much as you want, you play as little as you want, stay home, travel, whatever you want to do. You can play for real money. We'll have a season. We'll finish it in December, but you'll start next year with the same starting place you had when 2020 began. What I mean by that is you cannot play your way off the tour in 2020. You really can't play yourself into a better position either. So 2020 is kind of an asterisk year. It's your year. If you live in Korea and you don't want to come here, don't come here. If you live in Colombia and you're not allowed to fly out of the country, then you can't fly out of the country. And when I restarted my season, I still had 6 countries that wouldn't let players or anybody physically leave their country on an international flight. So we didn't want to create a tour that was as competitive as ours usually is. No Q school at the end of this year, no Q series. There won't be any way to play your way onto these tours, just like there won't be the way to play your way off of these tours. You guys, I think, know, and certainly many of you on the call probably are part of our LPGA professionals, roughly 2,000 teaching professionals from 25 different countries, really committed to growing the game, period, and certainly a driving force of women in the game. So when you take our LPGA tours, and if you think about that, 300 or 400 members on each tour, that's a significant number. When you take our LPGA professionals, that's a significant number, not only in terms of women that are in the sport and in the game, but women and other amateurs that they touch. When you add to that our LPGA Foundation, I think if you'd have heard me talk probably back to this group back in 2010, and when I talked about the LPGA Foundation, the only thing on this slide would have been girls golf, LPGA, USGA girls golf, and it would have been about 5,000 girls involved in girls golf. By this time next year, we'll have over 100,000 girls in girls golf. 10 years later, we've got 13,000 amateurs, part of the LPGA Amateurs Golf Association. We do 7 or 8 LPGA leadership academies for young girls at the key leadership time through the game every year. We obviously have our full slate of LPGA Foundation scholarships, and online we've created an LPGA Women's Network. We really want to be, we really were committed for 60 years to be the place you could go as a female to really pursue your dreams in the game of golf. A lot of options, we just wanted to be one of them. And I think in the last 5 or 6 years, we realized that there were so many female amateurs that wanted to be a part of what we're doing, that are connected with the leadership seminars we're putting on, that are interested in the KPMG women's leadership conferences and joining us online, that we actually wanted to reach out and make them part of the family. And quite frankly, a lot of our sponsors don't just love us because we're the best female golfers or teachers in the world. They love us because they know that we can connect with female amateurs in the world. So having this connection has been good for our business as well. So I think for those that probably know the LPGA as girls golf, which is great, and I'm really proud of what we built there. Like I said, back 11 years ago, we were doing we were having 4,500 girls involved in the program. Today, that's 100,000. Most importantly, I've said this many times, you'll hear a lot of charity and foundation programs throw big numbers around. And you might not think 100,000 is a big number, and that's okay. But very rarely will they take the big number of their charity and then actually talk about participation. Think about even other golf things that you may know, big numbers, and then you got to say, but is it changing participation? And I can tell you, if you jump back 15, 20 years ago, junior golf in America looked just like adult golf. It was 80 to 85% male and 15% female. So when people would ask me, what do you think about the future of the game? I would kind of have to bite my lip and think, the future of the game is already playing. I mean, it's junior golf. We're just waiting for them to grow up. And if junior golf doesn't look any different than adult golf, why are we kidding ourselves to think adult golf is going to look different? But today, with 37% of junior golf being girls, and that changing that fast in the last 10 years, I've said this many times, we are well on our way to a 50-50 golf environment. How do I know that? Because the future of the game is playing. They're just kids under the age of 16. And when you look at that group, They've gone from 15% to 37% in the last 15 years. If the same kind of growth patterns can continue, we'll be looking at a junior game that's 50-50 and a future of this game that can be 50-50. That's not only good for me, that might not only be good for you, but that's good for the game. That makes our game stronger. It makes sponsors want to get more involved, and it makes young girls believe that this path, this opportunity, this vision, this dream is realistic. They need to see it more and more so they can believe that they can be it, and that's what we're trying to do here at the LPGA. I'll go back because I'm not really. You guys may have already had enough of Mike Wan, but I'll give you just one slide that I sort of like to share with people, which is what I call lessons in leadership, and I would say some of these I knew before I got to the LPGA, but a lot of these I've really honed in the last 10 years, and that is when you're faced with a business challenge. My high school football coach used to say, "Listen, learn, and lead," and you got to do it in that order. And my first 100 days at the LPGA, I asked the board and the staff to expect 0 decisions from me. I wasn't going to make one single decision about a sponsor, about money, about budgets, about strategic visions, about branding, all things that I thought I knew the answers to, but I wasn't prepared yet to be a good leader. I needed to hear their voice. And man, does that come in handy in the last 150 days in quarantine time, to really take the time to listen to my athletes, listen to my sponsors, listen to my staff, and really make sure we can figure out how to get through this before we start leading. Everybody wants to jump in and just start doing. And quite frankly, when you just start doing, all that means is there's a lot of redo in your future. We believe in a 2-word process called role reversal. It sounds simple, and it really is. It's just very few companies learn it, which is spend more time talking about the person writing the check today than the people cashing the check today. I used to walk into LPGA meetings and we would talk about the HSBC Women's Championship, and all we would talk about was pin placements, grass height, where we were going to put bleachers, TV hours, all things that HSBC could care less about. Nobody in the room knew who HSBC was. Nobody in the room knew why HSBC was handing us $4 million this year. And nobody in the room was communicating to players or caddies or anybody else on TV what was important to HSBC. We give a 5x7 card to every athlete every week when she tees it up, and her caddy as well. It's a 5x7 card. Sure, I've got one from upcoming week sitting in my. Yeah, here's one for. Not sure if it's next week. Here's one for Volunteers of America, and on that card it talks about who's writing the check this week. It talks about what you need to post socially, what we expect to see in your social media profiles. You can imagine I have some players with some incredible social media following. You can post what you're having for dinner. You can coach the great comment your coach or your dad told you last night. But at the same time, if you post these things, you can move the needle for Volunteers of America. We show pictures of the most important people that you might see this week. If you see these people, thank these people. Underneath their picture, I've given you their mailing address. My players are asked to write a thank you card to each one of those people that week. Everybody should receive a handwritten thank you note from an LPGA athlete saying thanks for having us this week. And at the bottom, it says where you need to attend, where I physically need to see you this week. And in this case, it was a pro-am party. This was last year. It was being part of a hospitality suite, and it was a tailgate on the 9th green on the last day, and it was a hospital visit with the organization. I'm pretty sure when LeBron James shows up tonight at the bubble for his playoff game at the NBA, nobody's handing him a 5x7 card. Nobody's asking to write a handwritten thank you note. Nobody's telling him what to post, Facebook, tweet, Instagram. And I think it's humorous that nobody is. I think that's quite frankly what makes us different. Because our company has to make these, because our athletes ask us questions about these every week, as a whole company, we're so much more in touch with the people that write our checks. And as a result, if you ask Volunteers of America, what's it like to be in business with the LPGA? They would say, they really get my business challenges. They're really trying to solve my objectives. And that's a lot different than they're a really good tour. I like their viewership, and they really have my logo hanging over the lake on 18. So role reversal to me is a learning that can fit everywhere. I believe it, in the next two here, you build a team and you don't build a corporate structure. And to build a real team, you better hire people that don't look, walk, talk, or think like you. This is kind of silly stuff for me, but the best teams I've ever been on, nobody knew my name. They always knew my nickname. I won't tell you some of those because those are embarrassing. But everybody in the LPGA has a nickname. In my cell phone, if I typed in Mini or BMW or Squirt or Shaq, that's what would come up. A lot of times I can't remember the real person's name, but I know who Shaq is at the LPGA. And I know that if I called Shaq, she'd answer on the first ring. We're pretty tight as a group. We don't treat each other like we're in hierarchy or buildings, and then hire differently. I mean, my executive staff meetings are uncomfortable. Sometimes we just don't like each other. We come at it from a different angle. When I was 32, 35 years old and became the GM of a business that was TaylorMade, the business started to tank a little bit. And I called a really good friend of mine who had originally hired me at P&G, and I remember his first question to me was, tell me about your executive team, the people that report to you. And I described him. He said, sound like 7 versions of you. And I laughed and said, yeah, I think that's probably right. And he said, you're an idiot. And right from there, I had to start building a team that wasn't 7 versions of me. And from then on, it's been not only a more enjoyable ride, but a more profitable one. Strange one for all of you maybe on the call here, but here's something that you just should know that I do. I read and reply to every negative consumer complaint we get. If somebody calls and thought our TV was terrible, if somebody calls and thinks there's too many Koreans on the LPGA, if somebody sends us an email and said they went to an event and they couldn't get a handicapped cart, they were all sold out. If somebody calls us and says parking for LPGA teachers was way too far away, we're not treated like members at that event, they'll hear back from me. There's 2 benefits of that. One is everybody in my company knows I do that. So I think a lot of people are really incentivized to make sure those calls don't come in about something you're working on. And the second is everybody wants to come tell the commissioner all the stuff that's working. But very few people want to schedule time on my calendar, walk in my office, do a Zoom call and say, Mike, these are the 6 things that really didn't work last month. If you want to know what's really not working, talk to the people that's not working for. And it'll keep you focused on the stuff that can really make a difference. The people that work for you or work around you that are doing the good stuff, they'll keep doing the good stuff. And quite frankly, most of my team now doesn't need me to help them on the good stuff. So I need to make sure I understand what are the stuff that's falling through the cracks. So it's a little thing, but if you call our main number, and Lori, or Blondie as we know her, would answer the phone, Blondie would hang up a phone from you as a disgruntled consumer and call me and say, hey, Judy so-and-so just called, here's her number. If you write us a letter, my assistant will actually Google and track down your phone number, and I'll likely call that person. It's amazing how fast you can turn your worst critic into your greatest supporter just because you cared enough to hear their negative feedback and because it cared enough to bring it from the very top. Last 2 I'll tell you is as leaders, manage the people above you so the people below you don't have to deal with them. You know, my job is to keep my board of directors out of the hair of my team. My board of directors probably gets frustrated sometimes because they don't get really involved at a lower level. But my lower level, I want them to operate as if they forgot that we had a board of directors. So I try to make sure everybody knows the direction we're going above me so that nobody has to check in on the direction below me. I think that's really my job for my team. I mean, if my people below me needed me to do their job, I've got the wrong person in their job. What they really need from me is the freedom to work without any interruptions, and then just critique the work at the end. And that's what I mean by the last one, which is I feel most companies, they have forgotten to celebrate mistakes, especially aggressive mistakes. I think we all tend to try to avoid making mistakes. And I'll tell you the same thing I tell our interns, same thing I tell my kids, same thing I tell my executive staff. I didn't hire you, and I'm certainly not going to pay you every 2 weeks to return all your emails and to return all your phone calls and keep us essentially the same company we were before you hired me. I would rather, after paying you every 2 weeks for the next 2 years, feel like the company is dramatically worse than the same. Because everybody who's getting a paycheck ought to at least be changing the company, and they at least ought to feel like they have the freedom to change the company. If you feel like you have the freedom to change the company, then by gosh, you better have the freedom to screw up a few times. Because if you're going to swing that big, you're definitely going to strike out a few times. So what we try to do in some staff meetings is actually celebrate, actually identify aggressive mistakes. This person really wanted to make a major difference in this area that we all know we needed it. It didn't work, but because it didn't work, we're not afraid to fix it and try it again. It's not the file. I always tell people that walk into my office and I said to them, what's the project that's on the left corner of your desk that's been there for 2 months? And you know you got to work on it, but it doesn't have an immediate time frame. So you just keep pushing it there. Let's talk about that one today before we talk about whatever it is you walked in to talk about. Let's knock a few things off the corner of our desk. So at the end of the day, those are a few kind of lessons. And I would tell you that I haven't really talked about lessons in leadership in probably 4 or 5 years. But living through what we've lived through for the last 120, 150 days, all of these things have really come back into focus and have reminded me that if I'm going to be a good quarterback, without the talent and without the athletic ability to lead this team, do I have the team around me? And am I doing these things? Am I giving them the freedom to fail? Am I managing up so they don't have to? Am I making sure that we're a team and they can say no to me and do whatever they want with or without my approval? Are we focused on the customer? And have we somehow lost track that we're the customer? Because that's not true. And are we making sure that when we lead, we're doing that with the voices of the people that really know the problem much better than us? And at the end of the day, I mean, that's really what we'll try to do. Like I said, I'm not following at all the slides that I was given to probably walk you guys through, but not the first or the last time. I'll just wrap up with this slide, which is when we talk about the future of the game. I've said this many times, but the boldest thing I ever said when I took the job, I was at Madison Square Gardens, and somebody asked me, "What do you think about the future of the game?" And I said, "It's not female enough, but it will be." And I remember thinking to myself, man, that was brash, and you have no idea how you're going to do it. So like any brash, clueless leader, in my first couple of months in the job, I got together with Nancy Henderson and the rest of the team at the foundation and said, please help me. I said something I shouldn't have. I'm willing to fund you however you need to be funded. I'm willing to put as much money as I can behind it, but let's make sure we move this needle. And God love them. Ever since then, we've just watched what's happened to girls golf every year. And we started the Founders Cup, all about it. We've got the USGA engaged in big ways. All the other major entities in the game, PGA of America, Augusta National, PGA Tour, have all invested in girls golf. It's become one of the real core staples to grow the game. And I'm really proud of the fact that between this and PGA Junior Golf and what's happening at First Tee, and how many First Tee locations are doing girls golf programs, that we've all sort of got together and pulled on the rope. And I really think we will change the female face. I think I've really woken up in 2020 to realize that the face of this game has got to be more than just female. I got to be committed to full scale diversity when we talk about the future of this game. And I'm excited that we started that sled with really making a difference in female participation. And now I'm getting on board to make sure that it's more than that in the 10 years ahead. So I'll check my thing there. I think I'm about the time that you guys gave me. I told you when I started, I'm highly caffeinated. I don't need many breaths. And I'm excited about what we're doing here at the LPGA. And I'm excited that we do a lot of it with you all. I'm happy to take questions or get out of your way, whatever is easier for you guys. I know you have a busy agenda.
Thanks, Mr. Wong. I really appreciate your time and the insight into the tour, how you've handled this pandemic, and certainly the insight into your leadership style. It's amazing. So on behalf of all of us, thank you for everything that you've done to elevate the LPGA Tour, LPGA professionals, and the game in general. I know we do have a few questions that came in from the audience. If you have a couple more minutes to share with us. Jen, could you help us with the questions, please?
As long as you don't call me Mr. Wong.
Okay, thank you.
That's my dad.
So Mike,
yeah.
Speaking of the future of the game, today's Women's Golf Day, and we're hosting this summit here in Southern California. Why are events like today so important for the future of the women's game?
Well, I think most importantly, when you're coming into anything new, like I said, I can actually relate to what I remember walking into the Marathon Petroleum sales meeting. It was about 5-6 years ago. And I walked in and I realized everybody in here is a guy. And in the first time in 6 years, I walked into a room that was all guys. And I remember being embarrassed thinking, I'm pretty comfortable here. And I was thinking, I wonder if this what it feels like for women to walk into a golf shop. I wonder if this is what it feels like for women to walk into one of many industry meetings. Walk into a lot of meetings that could start with the term "gentlemen, glad to have you here today," which blows right over my head, but doesn't for my members. And it was just another kind of wake up call to me that said, being invited, feeling like you see yourself in this sport is how we're going to change the sport. If we think 9-year-old girls are going to say, golf, that's the thing, without us showing them in the game, without them seeing leaders like yourself leading the game, it doesn't change like this forever. I mean, it only took one Sayri Pak to change professional golf in Korea, but it took one Sayri Pak. So these kind of moments where we celebrate that, in fact, there are women in the game. We're the fastest growing segment of the game in the US. How about that? We haven't been able to say that in 200 years. But this fastest growing segment of golf in America is young girls. I would think there was a time, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, none of us thought we would ever be able to say that without a back-checking correction. So I think these are the kind of moments where we say, this is your sport. This is our sport. We're going to celebrate the fact that women not only make up this sport, but make up the growth of this sport. We're not, this sport's not going to get bigger, better, or faster with a lot more suburban white males in golf. We got that, we're covered. So now we really got to make sure how we take the game to the next level. And I think things like these days, I think these events that not only get recognized in these days, but really what we're recognizing is events that happen all year long. And you know it and I know it. These events are happening 10 or 15 people at a time. But when you add up those 10 or 15 people at a time, that's when you get into these real game-changing numbers. And like I said, there's so many things going on in the industry, so many initiatives, but very few of them can actually turn to the NGF and say, hey, is it working? And I think in the case of women in the game, we can all have a little bit of pride of the fact that in this case, in all these different things we're doing, and they're not easy, and sometimes they're not well funded, and sometimes there's not a lot of volunteers when you look around ready to help you, but they actually are moving the needle. And quite frankly, that's the only thing that really matters. Nobody's going to remember the PowerPoint slide you had on girls golf growth. They're going to remember whether or not there's more girls in the game.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
one more question as it relates to sponsorships. How have you helped increase value to your sponsors, especially those connected with events that have been canceled?
Yeah, I'll take those in two different, because one's a 2020 question around adult events canceled. But I would just tell you in general, the most important thing we've done is what I talked about in role reversal. I would tell you when when the vice president of Kia calls me and says, I was standing by the 8th tee with my wife and kids on a Sunday. I mean, by the time it's Sunday, the sponsors are fans, right? They've done all the pro-am stuff. They've hosted all the customers. They've had their seminars and their sales meetings. And Sunday, they're just out watching golf with their family and employees. And Christina Kim saw him and said, are you Michael Sprague? And he said, yes. And she goes, you're the VP of Sales and Marketing at Kia North America? And you can imagine I wasn't there. And he said, I am. And she ducked under the rope. She was playing in the tournament Sunday, going between the 9th and the 10th, 9th green, 10th tee. And she hugged him. And she said, on behalf of the women out here and the women that'll be out here in the future, thank you for what you're doing for the women's game. So of course, like any VP of sales, he calls me immediately. He says, how would Christina Kim know who I am? And I said, maybe I should send you one of our customer profile cards. This was, 5-6 years ago. And he said, you give these to all the players and all the caddies and all the staff, and it's got his picture on it. And he said, that's why I get these crazy thank you cards every year. And I said, out of curiosity, what do you do with the thank you cards? And he said, I have this one drawer in my desk. I just have them all in there because I can't throw them away. Like, I got a thank you card from Paula Creamer. Am I going to throw that away? And I remember thinking to myself, if I get one drawer of every executive's desk, and he said to me, Mike, we spend, so as you know, they're the title sponsor in Melbourne of the Australian Open in tennis. And they're one of the largest sponsors of the NBA. So he told me what they spend in tennis and what they spend in the NBA, which was both overwhelming and depressing because I knew how much he spent on the LPGA. But he said, we spend X in the LPGA, in the NBA, and X in tennis. I've never gotten a thank you card, even from a staff member, let alone an athlete. And I remember saying, well, that sounds like you got an NBA problem, not an LPGA problem. So I think when our sponsors sign on, they realize that we're in it with them. And so when I tell the players, I mean, one of the parts in this customer profile card is it says, what does Kia hope you say when there's a microphone in your face? You can answer when Jerry Foltz says, tell me about the 7-iron you hit on 16. If you go, yeah, it was really pure. I mean, I had to stay down on it. It was in the thick rough. But if you've read the card, you might answer that and say, but at the end of the day, we're not here if it's not for Kia. And the new Optima I'm driving this week is unbelievable. One player says that one time a day, and Kia goes back to the NBA and goes, why don't your athletes ever talk about it? And so I think the biggest difference we've made with our sponsors is they believe we're in this. And we don't build golf tournaments. We build what they want. When I met KPMG said, Mike, we want to get more women into the boardroom. We want to make sure young girls from a disadvantaged background get an opportunity to go into leadership positions through college and beyond. And we want to highlight some of all the grow the business initiatives we're doing for women in the world of audit and finance. And so they were doing most of that stuff. It's just nobody knew they were doing it. So I was hired. Most people on the outside would go, KPMG became a title sponsor. It's a major. I think of it as I was hired to showcase all the great things KPMG is doing. We're going to play a golf tournament in the middle of it. I use the golf tournament to get all the media to come. But while we're there, you're going to hear about Condoleezza Rice and the Women's Leadership Summit. You're going to hear about the Future Leaders Program and these 25 women that got scholarships that are going to Stanford and in leadership programs all the time. You're going to hear about what KPMG's women advancement programs are all week long. So I'm going to change the way you think about KPMG and women. well, they're going to change how much LPGA players pay for. So I think it's a two-way street. They didn't wake up in the morning and go, God, a golf tournament. We just had a golf tournament. Man, would our audit business be great? They didn't. But they knew what they wanted to make their audit business better. I just became the microphone to tell everybody about it. So I don't think many sports think that way. I think when you do a deal with the Cubs, they hang your brand, your logo on the ivy and on the left center wall, and you get your free tickets and your great parking, and the deal's done. We're not about free tickets and great parking. And I think if we were about great tickets and free parking, we'd be in a lot of trouble, because I don't deliver a 5 share on NBC on Saturday. I deliver really cool, international TV all around the world. But what I really deliver is this living, breathing, walking example of diversity and inclusion. Women from all over the world, they're their own business leaders. Nobody's got a 5-year deal on the LPGA. Nobody's got a no trade clause. They hire and fire their own caddies, physios, swing coaches. If they're moms, they got to figure out how to get the kids with them. We provide daycare, but that ain't much. When you're a mom trying to play on tour, you got to do the rest. So if you walk down our range, we're what every CEO is trying to figure out. How do I get women from all different walks of life, from all different backgrounds, big, small, loud, quiet, speak the language, don't speak the language? How do I get them all to be comfortable reaching into leadership position? If you're going to play on the LPGA, you are going to be a leader of your own business, whether you wanted to or not. And so we're kind of a living example of that. And right now, more CEOs want to not only learn about that, but incubate that in their own business. So we're a pretty good fit right now for what's going on corporately.
That's great. Thank you. Well, we appreciate your time. Again, I know you have a busy day ahead of you. Can't thank you enough, but more importantly, thank you for your passion. Thank you for your leadership and your support, not only of our game, but specifically women's golf.
Thank you. I hope you guys I think you can all both agree and be enthused by the fact that it is working. And I'm not saying that to make anybody feel better. I'm the first one to take shots at us when we're doing things that aren't working. We'll celebrate mistakes, but we'll commit that they are in fact mistakes. But I'm really proud. I've said this many times, at the LPGA, no one is going to remember this regime 70 years from now. They're not going to remember who was commissioner. They're not going to remember who was in what leadership position. We've got the baton in our hand for a while. Our job is to run as long as we can, as hard as we can. And when we're out of steam, hand the baton to the next regime. And when they're done, no one's going to remember the Founders Cup or the purse or how many TV events we had on NBC. But if we change how many women are playing the game here, especially here in America, then this regime we were worthy of the baton. And I feel like right now we're worthy. And when we're tired, I promise we'll hand it off. I hope you feel the same way, that sometimes it's hard to run with it, but because you're running with it, we're making a difference.
Absolutely. And I have a feeling we will remember this regime. So again, thank you for your time, and we hope to see you soon. All the best for the rest of the season.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Wow, what a great presentation. Certainly thrilled and honored to be able to have Mike, join us with some great insight. Again, not only the tour and how they've had to handle this challenging season, but also, a little insight as to how everything works on the tour and his leadership style. So really cool stuff. Okay, we're in the home stretch here. Our final presentation today is a pre-recorded segment on diversity and inclusion, certainly a topic of top interest and priority these days. This panel discussion was led by SCGA President Fred McFarland. As a reminder, should you have any questions, please type them into the question feature to the right. A few of the panelists have joined us live today to answer any questions that you may have. Also, a reminder, if you're experiencing any difficulty with the video playing, there will be a link posted in the chat box so that you can open it and watch it in a new window. And with that, we'll turn it over to the Diversity and Inclusion panel. Thank you.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the discussion on diversity, inclusion, and equity at the Women's Golf Summit. I'm Fred McFarland, and with me today, my guests will self-introduce and tell a little bit about themselves. So let's start with Teresa.
Thank you, Fred. My name's Teresa Thornton, and I'm a golf instructor with SCGA Junior. I work at several golf courses where we are really reaching out to the community, trying to bring the game to kids in the community, kids of all backgrounds and colors. I've been playing the game for, I would guess, 20 years now. I'm from the Midwest, and I see a big difference of golf in the Midwest versus golf in California, and I'm sure we'll kind of
come across some of that as we continue with our conversation. Thanks for having me.
Kathy?
Hi, I'm Kathy Cho. I work at Brookside Golf Course in Pasadena, California. My background is a Korean American, and I'm Class A PGA and Class A LPGA member, and I teach a lot at Brookside. And also, I'm a senior coach of First Tee of Pasadena, and I just won 2020 the lead junior leader of LPGA Western section.
Awesome.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
And Suzanne.
Hi, my name is Suzanne Kelly. I've been an avid golfer for about 25 years. I grew up in Los Angeles, but spent almost 20 years in New York. So I sort of have a perspective from both coasts. I am currently the president of the SCGA Junior Foundation Board. Really enjoy that role. The foundation seeks to serve underserved youth, teaching them both golf and life skills. And I've really enjoyed my time being president, furthering our reach and also helping to create a sense of community.
The discussion of diversity, inclusion, and equity is important and is sort of leaped to the forefront over the past year when you consider issues such as Me Too, when you begin to see and hear more about the Black Lives Matter movement, which is woman-led. And then, of course, we have SARS-CoV-2, the novel coronavirus, which has affected all of us. The reason why we're not sitting in a room together is because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so we're having this conversation virtually. I have to admit, however, that I'm the odd man out in this discussion. This is the Women's Summit. And while I'm participating in the conversation, I'm doing so not as the president of the SCGA. I'm doing it as a person who also wants to listen. So let's get the conversation going. Let's find out from you three engaged women in the game of golf, where you see issues of diversity. How do you view golf in terms of equity, and do you feel included?
I will tell, even in the public, you're not supposed to ask woman's age, but I'm so proud to be 64 years old, female pro, and I have a Class A PGA title and LPGA. I joined PGA first, started from apprentice 15, 17 years ago. And when I went first meeting, there's no Asian woman. There's no one looked like me there. 100 people in the meeting, they're all young men and not even middle-aged. And I feel like I'm not included there. Nobody wants to say hi to me, but I stick to it. And I made a friend and I just study hard and I just go beyond because my English was not that good and I have a heavy accent. Still I do. I make a lot of mistakes, but I try hard and go through level 1 and 2 and 3. I see people treating you differently. And now they included me. So what that means, we need really a woman, not just complaining what outside there, you show and you try and educate yourself to be better, and then they will treat you equal, you know? So it takes really perseverance and to be in top line. So in another experience that I have, so finally I work in the pro shop at Brookside. The man customer walk in, I'm in the behind the register, I'm a pro, say, is there a pro here? Is anybody know golf here? And then walk in and I'm there. Hi, I'm Kathy. I'm a pro here. Can I help you? Well, do you know golf? Do you know anything about golf club? And then I still keep on smiling, say, yes, I do. What would you like to know? And what would you like to buy? And, I have all this knowledge. I'm so excited to help. So to know how to sell clubs, fit the club, those help you standing out and no one puts you down. And not only that, you have to go beyond help like a Teresa. You ask me many questions when you're beginning, and be a mentor mentee to others. To have a same situation, you are down, then I lift you up because I've been there and done that, So we, as a female instructor or coach or junior, we just share information, have a meeting this kind of together, go through together. As diversity means to me is a difference, different people, different things, all. It makes it stronger as a team. You can't do alone. You have to together and help each other. For me, that's a little experience that I like to share.
Teresa?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Your take on golf from the standpoint of it being welcoming to women.
Absolutely. First off, I want to say I'm in the process of doing my LPGA certification, and Kathy is actually one of my mentors. She was on my application. I've worked with Kathy when we were both in the first tee. I worked at the first tee of Pasadena as well as South LA and LA. And I went to Kathy because of one, she's outgoing and actually she's certified, but I didn't have anyone in my community of color that I could go to and say, hey, I'm actually going to be pursuing this career. Could you assist me? So having someone like Kathy available, excited to do it, I think it means a lot for women and for myself that she was available to assist me, and she's always available for me. As far as like equity and inclusion and diversity, I had a long list of items. I said, which one do I really talk about? And I think I can do it on both ends when I'm having kids with me and a group of girls versus myself. So having a group of girls and taking them out to play, the first thing that you hear is the gentlemen or the guys, they want to go in front of you. Can we go in front of you all? So I have to be that adult when I have young girls and say, well, give us a few holes, and if we slow you up or if you can keep up, that's one thing. But if we slow you up after a few holes, we'll certainly let you go through. But I think it was just initially the look that you get, and it's kind of like a person of color look that you receive because one, you're of color, but two, you're playing golf, and then three, you're a woman. So they just assume that you're slow, you can't play, you're gonna slow them up, and then they're not the nicest to you. The one that really kind of strikes me is I was applying for a job at a golf course where everybody's probably participated or they know the organization. And I sent in my resume, I made the phone call, I made the contact with the general manager. And one of the things that we had a time scheduled, I was coming in, the resume was in, it looked great. So I was coming in to talk to him, and all pro shops have cameras and everything. So I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. And then he sends a staff person out and says, tell her I'm in the middle of something. I have her resume. I'll give her a call back. So maybe something came up, maybe he got busy, or maybe that camera just, it wasn't the right time, or he didn't like what he saw. But I do try to be professional at all times. So my phone calls, you may not be able to tell what background I'm from. The way I speak, I try to be professional. So those are a couple incidents that I've had, and I don't think the equity is there for women. I think we need to really work harder, and those are some of the experiences I've had.
And Suzanne, you can understand the game from different vantage points. You've had success in the private sector. You understand the game from public golf as well as from the private side of the golf experience. Talk a little bit about what you've experienced as a woman in golf.
Sure, absolutely. I do have the perspective of playing public golf for 10 years when I was a beginner. And, you know, to some of Teresa's comments, of course, if you're a woman, you're slow, you're not good, which, okay, I wasn't very good, but I was pretty fast. Was lucky enough to join a private club in New York and now a private club in LA. And I can tell you they're traditional clubs over 100 years old, and things change slowly. Women weren't allowed to be members of some of these clubs for quite a period of time. And things don't change overnight, but I have definitely found, despite perhaps a welcoming attitude up front, that doesn't always translate into a practice of equality or fairness or acceptance. Also, as in my business experience, there was a time where I am the client. I was 100% in charge of the decision making to give a large amount of money to someone for a real estate project in Florida. And after the round of golf, the 3 men disappeared, and I was waiting in the lobby because I thought we would all have a drink together. And I finally asked, and I was told that the men were having a drink in the men's grill. But one, failed to inform me of that, and 2, did not invite me. So that was kind of a shock.
Would you have been welcomed in the men's grill?
No, but there was a mixed area where we could have had that drink after the round of golf, but those men declined to take that option. So I think we have come a long way, but I would say, as another example, there are several private clubs in LA that not only have women on their board of governance, there have been female presidents of 2 very prominent clubs, and I think that is progress. Some other clubs, I would say, fall behind that. So from a diversity standpoint, I think it's important that women are involved in the decision-making and governance and represent diversity of opinions.
We're in an era where change is really accelerating. But, you know, even in 2020, I mean, this is the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, which granted women the right to vote, but not all women fully at that time in 1920. And just this year, we will have a woman of color as a vice presidential nominee of a major political party. So maybe it's time for golf to step up its pace a little bit, and if so, where would you like to see that pace quicken? Teresa?
I think for me, like everything, it starts with leadership at the top, highest level. I would love to see more women in golf positions. I know we have Susie Whaley with PGA, which is great to see that. But I think at the local level, local organizations, having someone that is a female that is in charge, that is involved in making decisions, I think not just at that level, but on down, where we can find a way to build that pipeline of having more female participants, more females in charge of the game, more females making decisions that are including women, and not just because this is the right time in the Me Too movement, but years to come. I mean, we're the next biggest market between the youth and women. This is the biggest market for golf, no matter if it's PGA, LPGA. How do we get more women involved? And I think it's just having someone in that leadership position and several leadership positions to being able to make decisions to bring just to bring us along and make sure we're not forgotten, because we've been pushed to the side for way too long.
Well, Suzanne, I spend a lot of time at a public driving range, here on the west side of Los Angeles, and I see a steady stream of young professional aged women who are out there taking lessons, and some that are out on the short course that's attached to the driving range facility. And in your mind, given your background, what's it take to have more executive women getting involved in the game and building upon their private sector experience and driving the pace for inclusion a little faster?
Sure. I think, as Teresa alluded to, if you can see it, you can be it. And I do think it's important that women that are in leadership roles in the jobs that they work in are given the same opportunities as men, with examples of occasionally there might be a membership attached, there might be an invite to a pro-am or to a member guest. And I think there is still an old boys club where even if you're at the top level of business, those invites are not always given to the woman. I know there have been some changes, most notably Augusta National is a great example. They have made a lot of progress. There's some terrific women there, women that run major organizations. So I think that's something that perhaps Southern California could learn something from. I think as well, there is some education involved. Golf is a game that both genders can play together. There's tremendous camaraderie, and I think there's a bit of fear. And again, if there's a foursome at a pro-am or a member get, don't put the women all in the same foursome. We don't bite, and I think you'd find that we're actually a lot of fun and provide a different viewpoint. I guess the other thing I'd add is that having more mentors and role models for younger girls or women starting off their career is incredibly important. And I think it's so fabulous to have Teresa as a coach with the SCGA Junior Foundation. I think there are just some great examples of getting to kids, both boys and girls, young. And so they are used to seeing women in these roles, and perhaps that fear of what it means to have equality in a private club, in a public course, in a business golf setting is maybe alleviated just a bit. Finally, I would add that there should be, at the end of the day, it's about economics, and there should be economic repercussions for clubs or for situations where there is discrimination. And I think that will also force some change.
And Kathy, you blazed a trail as an Asian woman teaching professional. Do you find other Asian women, having seen you perform in the role you do, thinking,
yes,
I'm interested in doing that as well? I can, maybe they raised kids in the game and decided this is something I can follow in Kathy Cho's shoes.
Yes, I see a lot like me or similar look or in our industry, especially LPGA in Korea Women's does a great job and as a role. And some people say, why Korean LPGA win all the games? They work hard. It's not what parents put them on, drag them to driving range. No, they want to work hard. And same here, some of LPGA pros really work hard and they're the role. And what we have to do, we have already leadership here. Teresa, Suzanne, we are a leader. And we have to start from here to raise and teach our kids to motivate that role. And also, as you see, a lot of Asian golfers are growing their numbers so much. Asia, Korea, Japan, and China, or any country right now in Asia, golf is really one of sports what children wants to do, but it is expensive. So there's a SGA member, Southern California PGA, or they have some youth fee is really cheaper, so they can easy to join.
And Suzanne, because you're in an important leadership position, what is your message to the young women that you interact with through the programs and activities of the foundation, who will look to you and to say, what can I do, and will I be included? Will there be a place for me when I finish school and go through college, and what are my prospects for being successful as a woman, either with this game of golf or outside of the game?
Sure. I guess my message to them would be, one, don't give up. I feel like for the younger generation, there isn't necessarily a bias of girls in this corner and boys in the other corner. I think if you are an authentic person who's passionate about the game, gender doesn't matter. And I would encourage the girls not just to go into the corner and play golf with other girls. I think it's very important to, for boys their age, for men to get used to seeing the genders playing golf together. And I think very specifically, there's some education with men or with boys about the proper tees that women are playing and how the handicap works. Because I know that's one thing that the men that I play with say is, you're getting too many strokes, or why are you playing those forward tees? So I think it's important for them to help educate the men that it's perfectly okay to play the tees, even if the men would like to play the forward tees. Let's all just have fun, because at the end of the day, it's the relationships and the camaraderie that I think is the most dear about golf. And I think the importance of women on the golf course for so many areas of business and professional life is key. And let's start early. We're all in this together.
And Teresa, you are a sports leader in your own right in the African American community. There are not a lot of African American women in the game doing what you're doing, having the interactions that you're having, and trying to attract members of the African American community to the game, because it's a game you love, and it's a game that you're talented in instructing and promoting. So, how do you see your leadership position in the game, having an impact on the African American community of women?
Kind of as Suzanne had mentioned, resources. We all know that this game, it costs more than picking up a basketball and going to a park, or, playing on a softball team. So one, just having the resources available in communities of color, and communities where girls and women have the opportunity to participate. There's not a, for me, I guess if I think of the African American Western States Golf Association, that's actually what attracted me to golf here in California. And it was because it was a ton of people that looked like me. They have their women's club, they have the men's club, but speaking on the side of women and how do we get more girls and leaders involved is SCGA, and we have the opportunity to reach out to communities of color, take advantage of that, make sure we're in those communities to let the girls know that this is a career. It shouldn't be something that they think is only a career for people that are white or white men. There should be a way that we can make sure you know, this game is for everyone. We have resources to support high schools. We have resources to support high school girls. Maybe we alone do not have them, but how do we get the resources to the communities that if we're looking for girls of color, how do we get to them? How do we reach them? And if I'm not there and we're not there, or somebody that doesn't look like them are there, they're not going to be interested in this sport, and we're not going to be able to grow the game in those communities.
Suzanne, what would be your message to leaders in the golf industry as it relates to the inclusion of more women in the corporate ranks in the golf industry?
Yes, absolutely. Having worked in a largely male-dominated industry on Wall Street, I found that sometimes using your differences can work to your advantage. And I truly felt that as many times as perhaps I was discriminated against or didn't get an opportunity, there were many, many other chances where you stand out, people notice you, you're different. And that is absolutely an opportunity to show your competence. And as far as, you know, getting your foot in the door to a leadership position. And then again, once you're there, I think it's very important to mentor younger women. I think there are some great things going on in golf, and just slightly off tangent, but for example, the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, the AT&T, is one of the most prestigious Pro-Ams in the country. And you are seeing more women playing together as the, you know, who purchase those spots for quite a bit of money and are invited to play there. And I think that is also really exciting, and again shows that there are opportunities available to each gender. And I think I hope that other tournaments and you know, other people will continue to embrace women, and in a very high-profile manner.
And Teresa, you know, aside from the security cam experience, your message to golf industry top leaders on including women at decision-making levels, your message to them would be what?
Really make a strong effort of letting women know and girls know, but mainly women know that there is opportunity there. If I wasn't in golf, I wouldn't really know what positions are available or how to get involved with the TaylorMades and the Callaways and some of the major manufacturers. And if you look at college campuses and career opportunities there, there's only certain colleges that actually offer a path to PGA or LPGA. Well, that's not the only way to find a position in this industry. You know, you don't have to be a pro player or an instructor. There are many opportunities in letting women and children know, maybe at that college level or maybe throughout high school, like what is the pathway to this, and where, you know, where are the jobs at? And in that way, they can see, you know, people that look like them. Like Suzanne said, if it looks like you see them, then you know you can be a part of that. But if you don't see that and you don't know where to start, I think aggressively, like really looking to support women. And when you get to the top, you know, bring somebody with you, and hopefully it's going to be more women up there, because we certainly, you know, you think about when the men went off to war, who kept the economy running? It was women. They had to like strap on the boots and really take care of this country. And I think we did a phenomenal job. And I guess I could say that's why I'm where I'm at today.
Closing thoughts. Suzanne, if you had to put a capper on this discussion, you know, what would it be for you?
Sure. I think there's tremendous opportunity, and there are many, many positive takeaways of change happening, albeit slowly. My final words would be, it's very important for women to support other women, but it's also important for men to support women. Every man has a mother, potentially a wife, a sister, a daughter, and I think that they can be very helpful in choosing a woman in leadership positions. They can be helpful
in inviting women to play in their foursome at a tournament. And I think that is also very important.
Teresa?
You know, as Suzanne, I was writing that down just with a lot of the men that are the decision makers. You kind of want, I say, you know, we need more men to have more girls so they understand where women are and how they feel and creating opportunities for them. So if these leaders and decision makers would look at women as if it was their wife or their mother or their aunt or their daughter, and how would you want them to experience or feel or be a part of this organization or this industry? Wouldn't you want them to have the same opportunity too? Because I don't think people really understand it or realize it, or it doesn't matter or make a big enough difference until it impacts them deeply. Then we'll start seeing the change and more women being brought to the top and into this industry, and just having the opportunities available, like really seeking out women to do these jobs. And I think the decision makers, if they look at it like that, I think we'll see more progress.
Kathy, your closing thoughts.
Well, Suzanne and Teresa said everything, and probably I'm just a me too, right? Yes, we are the leader, and instead of us seeking for more leader, that would be wonderful. And we are just take this one for step, move next step. So we train younger kids and young juniors or senior women. We train more, and we lead them. We help them get better in game, in their life, and reach them with our leadership, with our heart, and start from right here, make our boss or whoever leader in our field, make them understand how important that we put our heart and work hard. Or we individually, Teresa and Suzanne or me, or there's other colleague that we have, LPGA member, PGA member, SCGA member, we're doing right now a really good job. SCGA through women's clinic, and you know, Suzanne, you throw some junior golf clinic. Individually, we're teaching. This is what we're doing. We need to do more. And we have a Fred support, Jennifer is supporting behind. We are the group. This is diversity group right here. This make golf world, our world, different, you know, and that makes step by step. It takes a time. We cannot flip everything tomorrow, but it's a step. This is the beginning of this Women's Summit is number 3 woman, 3rd annual, right? This is a big change for already, where people word out to know that we have a Women's Summit, and they can hear, let them hear what we're saying, so this can be changed. This is another step, I think so. So study from today from us, you know, we make community different and golf community different. We can change. That's a power.
Well, I want to thank Kathy Cho, Teresa Thornton, and Suzanne for you know, their contribution to this conversation today. The only thing I can add to their insightful comments is keep the conversation going. We're going to be meeting in Zoom meetings for a little while, even after we may find there's a vaccine. But this is a way to stay connected. We have For Magazine and we have For Her, and keep the conversation flowing to both of those publications and stay connected, and get the governing boards of the SCGA Junior Golf Foundation that Suzanne heads, and the SCGA, and push for change you believe will be beneficial for women in the game of golf here in Southern California and the 10 counties in which we serve our members, and constantly push forward what you believe are the diversity and equity and inclusion policies and programs that you think are going to be beneficial to women throughout the golf industry.
So thank you again for attending today's Southern California Women's Golf Summit. Play well, play often, and please stay safe. Thank you.
For 25 years, Golf Tech has been bringing innovation to golf instruction. Through the challenges of today, that's never been more true. With the enthusiasm for golf at an all-time high, we're inspired to keep innovating and celebrate this great game. Discover how Golf Tech's approach has helped thousands of golfers improve their game.
Keep the face open, you'll be fine.
Golf Tech, helping golfers for 25 years.